Well, hello. Give me 1 second here. Got a minor issue with the camera here. Pop that on right there. Just hop up, hit that switch on the top left. Just flip it. Here. It's the button where the button where you take the camera, the picture. Well, hello. Got it. My bad. Okay, hit the OK button real quick. My bad. It's on the back. Now we are. There we go. Sorry about that. Waylon Wilson, thanks for sticking with us there. Sorry, buddy. A little issue. Boom, but hey, we're good to go now.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're podcasting.
Is the mic on?
Yeah, I think so. Yep, you're good.
Good. There we go.
We are. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
How are you doing today?
All right. If we could, I'd like to start the show off by, I'd like to dedicate this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to dedicate this show to Todd Michael Klein. He passed away yesterday. And it's a friend of ours, Jimmy Curry. It's his brother. And I'd just like to say I'm sorry to Mike, Debbie, Jimmy, all his family. Todd will be greatly missed.
Absolutely. And you always got away with words, man. I don't know what it is about that, but yeah, this one goes out to them. And just keep your head up in this tough time here. So scoot over just a hair if you can see.
I can do that.
Just so you're in, if you can see yourself there. So the checkers and records isn't covering you there. So
there we go.
We're good to go. Morning from Canada, well, morning from America to our Canadian friend there, and morning, Davin Cardwell. Hope you all are just
Davin.
doing. He says, Davin. I won't say it, but I hope you all are just doing fantastic today. And we got some fun and exciting race action that we get to chat with you today. We are going to have a good one. I hope you're ready.
Yep. We got a lot to talk about. There was some big breaking news that happened last week.
Yes.
You got an interview in this week?
Yes, I did. Absolutely. There it is. That echo should be gone there.
And you got some racing in this week, too.
Yeah, there's plenty of action here.
You actually got to do some racing, because usually you're broadcasting, so
right.
You actually got to get some racing in.
Well, if that's what you call it, but
you were on the track. That's all matters.
I was on the track. We'll put it that way. That I do like. So
I had an emergency.
Davin says he's gonna win tonight in those sprints there. Yeah, Code Brown. Hey,
Davin, you're wrong on that, buddy, because you might win 360s. Howdy's winning the 305s.
He's been training. He's ready to go. And Justin Rooster there, he's in the NSRL. Okay. We'll get to talking about the NSRL during the iRacing segment. But,
I try to watch some of that, like
I love when you hop on at lunch.
I'll click on and watch.
I'll catch some people on during lunch there. You can tell during that noon hour, there's quite a bit of people that hop on, and I love it there. But they do some solid racing out there.
From what I've seen, it's a great series. Them guys run clean.
Yeah,
and it's exciting to watch. I wish I was off during the day to where I could run in that series.
Right. So real quick, Rooster, he's Rooster Rodden.
Rooster.
There. So that's what his nickname is in the league there. So I'm over there, and
I mean, when you got a nickname like Rooster, you're pretty badass.
What comes to your mind?
The ranch. Okay.
See, and what came to my mind is, yeah, they come to pass the Rooster, because he won. And they couldn't do it. Oh, yeah.
Because that was, Hyde from 70 Show.
Uh-huh.
Him and Ashton Kutcher on Netflix, The Ranch.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about there.
Which he's not on it anymore, but that was his name, Rooster.
Oh, okay. Ashley watches that one, so. I haven't gotten into that one yet, so. Brooks, good morning.
Brooks is mad at me right now.
Why is that?
Because I didn't race last night.
Well, you had other things going on.
Yeah. Did you see that new PC he got, though?
Yeah.
He got him a machine.
Looking sharp. We got, I know there's a couple people waiting for That's where he got his name. His stepmom says that to him.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So I know some people are waiting on some stickers and a couple other things. We are getting everything out. I'll have everything out a little later here tomorrow. So I'm getting everything packaged up and sent out your way. And
yeah, because I mailed out the shirt the other day because I'd spaced it like the whole week. And I told Daniel, I was like, dude, I need that shirt. I forgot about it.
Whoops. So,
but I threw in some stickers and the shirt, and it's off. And he might even have it. He might have got it yesterday. I don't know.
So, yeah, I do apologize for a little delay on my end there. But we'll get you out there. We'll get it out and get you rolling in that merch. And speaking of merch, check out www.BWSPORTS1.com. We got some merch over there. And if by chance you happen to miss some of the fun and exciting action, either with us or the boys over at Black and White Sports, you can catch us over there and catch up with all the action that you missed.
The happenings.
Exactly.
And you can also, where else can you go to find stuff? YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you got me.
YouTube.
But that's a link. There's a link on www.bwsports1.com.
Just saying, if you don't want to go to the website, you can just go straight to YouTube. Search BW Sports. Bam, there you go.
Absolutely. Leo calling it last week on the NASCAR race, and Leo brings us in, sliding in. Look at that in the comment section.
Great segue. Way to go, Leo.
Thank you, Leo. You took the Leo picked the checkers, so we'll give him a round of applause on that, and it's time
for the checkers and wreckers picks of last week.
Was it on the prick still?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll roll with it.
I was expecting the echo and everything. That's why I took the headphones off and everything. So we'll get that back there. But
what's up, Bryce?
So yeah, you got those out there. You got those there. So let me see here. We got my checker. I took Kyle Busch. He took 15th. Definitely not the running he wanted, and just fuels him up for today a little more. So
yeah, and it seems like because before I make the next comment, my checker I had is Martin Truex Jr., Kyle's teammate, and he finished 20th.
Yep.
And Gibbs isn't having those runs that that we're used to seeing Joe Gibbs Racing have.
Right, especially at the beginning of the season. I mean, last year they came on strong there. So we TommyBoy fashion here.
First of the season.
I mean, go figure, man. It never fails. I went against Leo. I picked Joey Logano as my wrecker.
And how'd he finish?
First. Took it into victory lane, darn it. And so I hope you took that one to the bank.
TommyBoy meant to flop those around.
Right.
He gets a little dyslexic when it comes to checkers and wreckers.
Well, hey, at this point, they I'm not gonna ruin my any picks or anything like that, but I may have a little agreement there with Leo. So we'll see here. But yeah, take my wrecker pick to the bank. If you are one of the few states that I don't even know if it's few anymore, but if you're one of the states that gambling is legal, when I pick a wrecker, you run to the casino and you toss at least $2-3 down on them because
for NASCAR. A checker.
Have you exactly? Yeah, you can't bet on a wrecker, unfortunately, not yet. We're not that big yet. We haven't influenced the sporting books yet. We'll get there.
We will.
We'll get there. But man, where was I going with that?
NASCAR something.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic there. But hey, real quick, right behind us, this beautiful piece of art. You can't necessarily see it because my light is just like beating down on it. But we did a little video. You saw it before in the that picture there. But Gruntworks Custom Woods, veteran owned, veteran operated. And man, that is what I said on the video. Sweet, smooth, and sexy.
It is.
It's
just badass.
You got to check them out.
He's a veteran. And another cool thing is that I've noticed, because if you go to his Facebook page, he not only does he post, his work that he's done and finished products and projects he has going on, But I've noticed he's a big music fan too, so he's
Yeah, a little
like
motivation on Friday and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's pretty cool.
Absolutely, gotta love that. So check them out over there. Like I said, veteran owned and operated. So big shout out to all those guys in the service. So if you are in the service, thank you for what you do, all you men and women out
If
there.
you're in the service, thank you for your service.
Exactly. That wasn't corny at all.
No, not one bit. So my record, I had Eric Jones, 23rd. So I consider that record.
Yeah, not a bad pick.
And there's another JGR car.
Yep. Well, I mean, he kind of has seen like there. He said it himself. He's kind of seen like that's kind of. I mean, he's a mid-pack guy lately. I mean, he's had a couple glimpses of some good runs,
like the Clash.
I don't think you can classify that a good run. But,
that was a survival of the fittest.
Absolutely, yeah. So Bryce Bailey, good morning to you as well. But yeah, absolutely. So I mean that and you see him quick, but then again, that's a restrictor plate race, and as well as I mean, you know it as well. Anybody can get up there and make a run for that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you were fast if you're up there at Daytona. You might be. I'm not taking anything away from him, but excuse me. But so then we go to Dark Horse, and I really thought Kurt was going to do something, and I thought Kurt seemed to kind of be on something this year, but he just had 2 bad weeks now. He got caught up in some wreckage in Daytona. The next week in Vegas, just his home track didn't have the running that we're used to seeing him have, and then he comes out and puts this one 25th. So a disappointing run for the Busch brothers.
Yeah, because you would think both of them would have had better results being their home track, like you just said.
And they usually do run pretty darn good there.
Yes. Then my dark horse, I had Christopher Bell. Wah, wah, wah. 33rd.
Yep.
And there again, another, well, it's not the JGR team, but it is a JGR car.
Right, yeah, we've talked about that.
And, you know, and 3 cars right there, 20, 23rd, 33rd. That's just not the runs we're used to seeing those cars. But, you know, this year, if you look at the field, there's not a lot of Toyotas out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's in the past couple of years, Ford's really come on and really, I would almost, I haven't broke it down to look. I need to do that this week. I think Ford might outnumber the other manufacturers in NASCAR now.
Yes, I don't know, like by car. I know Toyota is definitely struggling in the pack with that one team that they have there. So, I mean, definitely, and you're seeing those Toyotas. It's at Daytona, at least, they were wanting to team up with the Fords.
Yeah,
they were running with the Fords for the most part. So, something to keep an eye out. We'll have to look over that. But that does it for the Checkers and Wreckers picks of the week.
Yep. Or
last week, I should say.
Yeah, we haven't set the world on fire on our picks so far this season.
No, hey, we're 2 weeks in.
We're getting warmed up.
Exactly. It's been a long December and January and February.
Been a long off season.
There you go. Exactly. Well, welcome to March. And you know what does happen in March? IndyCar starts. F1 starts. So we are just about to go full throttle.
We're what, 2 weeks away from St. Pete?
Exactly. 3 weeks away then from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So very exciting here. But we'll continue rolling with NASCAR's Logano, as we've mentioned already, with my record pick, takes the victory, and really just kind of an interesting strategy. An accident almost, as did you see the end of it when they're talking to him? He was like, I didn't know what my crew chief wanted me to do. He said, come in. And I didn't know he meant, I was like, how do you not know he meant come in? Like, you must have not heard him, because the way he sounded, it was like, well, he said come in, but I didn't know what he meant. Like, it sounded like he was pretty darn clear to me, but hey, it works out. And he even says, though, if he didn't get that restart and he loses one spot, he doesn't just lose one. He ends up getting sucked back about 8. So he gets in that clean air and really pulls it up.
And didn't Penske this year, didn't all 3 teams swap crew chiefs?
They did, yeah, they did do something there. So
I believe all three of them swapped crew chiefs.
exactly. So that's the first win there for that team right there in Logano.
You know, I can kind of understand where he said, you know, he didn't understand what the crew chief was trying to tell him. And I know it's only the second race into the season, but you would think leading up to even to the first race at Daytona, they would have worked everything out and had their communication down. And I'm sure there's still going to be some hiccups, but I just, you know.
I think that's Joey saying,
he messed up.
no, I think that's him saying, I was going to stay out. I didn't know what you wanted me to do, man. I'm sorry. Miscommunication on the new team here.
And it could be.
Because Joey's at that point in his career where he's good enough that if he needs to make that on-track decision, and, man, you might get slapped for it afterwards, but if you got to make it, man, you got to make it. So I don't think we'll ever know, honestly. Maybe next year if something comes out. But I just think he is better. He's a more aware driver than that. So I think he really knew that his crew chief wanted to come in, and Joey's saying, no, if we come in, I'm going to finish 4th, 5th. If I stay out, it's either checkers or wreckers at that point. And that's what he's thinking in his head. I'm doing this for Howdy. I mean, I know he is. That's what he's saying. I know it. So
that makes sense.
Right, absolutely. I was just catching up on some comments over here. We got some guys that are ready to do some running here in the 360s. So you catch us in the 305s. I'll catch you in the 360s when you come back around to the lap
so
meet.
Leo's saying he thinks that they swapped pit crews and everything as well. So the only thing they kept is the spotter, which usually a driver will.
Yeah, that's
once a driver has a spotter and that's who they're comfortable with, even if they switch teams, a lot of times that spotter will go with them.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Because when I was younger and watching it on TV, you never would think that. But now as you get to talking to these guys, Dixon's spotter has been with him for like 20-some years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, I get that. And I understand that because that guy's got your life on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your crew chief, to a certain extent, yes. But that guy up there, if he makes a bad call, you could end up in the stands. You could end up on your lid. I mean, you could end up dead or in the hospital.
And you know, and I think it happens more in NASCAR than it does in IndyCar. But, you know, a lot of the spotters in NASCAR are ex-Cup drivers. I guess it's Xfinity Series now, but it used to be the Busch Series, Nationwide Series, whatever. You know, they used to run that, or they ran trucks. They're guys that are familiar with these tracks and these cars, and these guys, you know, it's they rely on them so much because they're constantly feeding them information while they're in the car.
Right.
Hey, you know, 3 back, 2 back. It's kind of like how we do in iRacing when we're spotting for each other.
Oh, I'm horrible at it though. Like I'd be the worst, and I'm the first person.
Oh no, Daniel's pretty bad at it.
Oh, and I've told him, I was like, hey man, just don't say anything. And nothing again. I mean, I told him there's people that are a lot better than others. I am horrible. I am absolutely horrendous. I'm like, okay, you got a guy down low. No, he's high, and that does nothing because at that point you're swerving. Or you've hit the guy.
Right.
So I'm no good. I'm just better not talking. And if you got a question, ask me. If you catch me spotting you on iRacing, that's the best bet to go about it. Now I'm perfect if it comes to that. I can feed you any information you want there. So I thought that was but really a spotter anywhere can really we talk about ways to gain that extra few tenths on the track.
Yeah, because I mean the spotter's gonna, like, say if you're in the lead and I'm running you down, and the spotter's gonna be in your ear telling you, okay, he's running low through 3 and 4, high through 1 and 2.
Exactly.
This is the line he's running. So then you can adjust your line to see if you're picking up any time there, or vice versa. If you're in the lead and I'm in second, my spotter's telling me, okay, he's running this line. Running his tracks and run him down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a spotter just feeds so much information to the driver because, yeah, the driver can sit there and look in his mirror and see immediately what's around him, but, you can't see this guy 6, 7, 10 cars back that's making a run on you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a spotter's a key part. And like we said, most of these guys, they get with that spotter, and a lot of them will have the same spotter throughout their whole career.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's trust in that aspect.
It is.
So, we keep it rolling here, and the bus moves on to California.
Yep, the West Coast swing.
There you go. So, last year, Busch put it out there for the win. Good chance he could do it again today. I mean, we're not going to spoil any picks of the week or anything like that yet, but I mean, he knows the track. This is where he caught fire last year because he had the rough first 2 races. And I do believe he completely swept the race last year. So took all 3 stints and took it to victory lane, obviously. So guys are going to have a hard time. But Boyer puts it on the pole. Do you see this? He gets out, he gets the pole, and he's like, holy, I didn't think I had the car, man. It's like, I can't believe I just put that on the pole. I like him, dude. He seems like he is just, and he hasn't really been shown in this mentality or his attitude like this, I guess, in the past. But man, he just seems like he's just out there having a great time now. So I don't know if he's past that point in his career where he's fighting with Gordon in the pits. And because I think people thought of him kind of as one of those pricks of pavement. But man, now it's like he's the guy everybody in NASCAR wants to have a beer with. Like it kind of turned and switched there.
Well, and Boyer is a good old boy. He's from down south and a dirt track racer.
Yep.
Ran a lot of the short track stuff, and he's always been that guy that they've expected him to do more than what he has. And I think this year's a pivotal year for Boyer. And if he wants to continue running with that Stewart-Haas team, he really needs to get up there and get some wins and secure himself a position in the chase at the end of the season to, maintain that ride. And I've always liked Boyer. I think Clint is one of those guys, like you said, he'd be cool to have a beer with.
Right. But at the same time, you cut him off, he's going to tell you. It's like he is a no-holds-barred type guy. But and Jason McConnell says he's not a polished PR guy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you got your guy. Jeff Gordon was a polished PR guy. Jimmy Johnson is a polished PR guy. Kyle Busch
Jr.
Yeah, that's a great example. Kyle Busch, not a polished PR guy.
Dale Sr., not a polished PR guy.
To a certain extent, he knew at the end of the day that he's not going to go out there and say anything that Goodwrench is going to pull off of him.
Well, but at the same time, Dale Sr. would tell you how it was.
Not like to the extent Kyle Busch was, or is. I don't think he'd come out and...
I do.
You do?
Because Dale Sr. was kind of...
he talked to
the
the reporter,
spokesperson for, the drivers.
He would talk to the reporter, I think, though, instead of just walking away.
If Goodyear brought a junk tire to the track,
he's going to tell him.
He would get on there, hey, Goodyear brought us a piece of shit tire.
Absolutely, I'm with you there.
And then, after Dale Sr. had Tony Stewart kind of took that role because Stewart would tell you how it is.
And that was like 10 times heavier.
But yet, he also knew, too, that, I got to keep my sponsors. But at the same time, he would tell you.
Right.
Where Gordon wasn't going to say that. Jimmy Johnson wasn't going to say that. Who's some other guys? I can't think right now. But yeah, I get the
Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards.
I mean, he was good. If he had something to say, he's going to say it behind closed doors.
Right.
And they're going to take word. They're going to take it. Now, I'm not saying they're not listening. They're not listening to Busch because heck yeah, they are.
I would say Chase Elliott is a polished PR guy.
I just don't think he has had that opportunity yet to. I think he's still in his a shell that he needs. But you look at his dad, and his dad was a good old Southern boy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his dad, when I walked in and I met him, because I was there for Chase with Napa, his dad held the door open for me. I was like, man, it's like, I get, I work for your sponsor, but you're Bill Elliott, man. I get the door for you, dude. It's like, seriously, it's not a big deal, man. That's like an elders thing, too. But it's like one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. But Chase just seems really shy. And he's had those moments where he gets fired up after a race, somebody dumps him where Bush came up through the on the road course and just nailed him because he tried to outbreak him. It's like, no, you didn't work, bud. Not at all there. And Chase comes out then, but and that might be a Hendrick thing. Hendrick might keep those guys and say, hey, you guys, like, you're here and I'm going to pay you to be here, but let's keep this tight.
And it could be.
Because I can't think of a Hendrick driver. Well, Bush, but you saw how quick that or how long that lasted. Kyle Busch was with Hendrick for what, first year or two?
Was it like 3 years?
Yeah, once he got that mouth, and Hendrick said, "No, dude, I'm not dealing with that." So, and you got your owners, but at the same respect, he wasn't what he is now. So, are you going to put up with him now compared to what he was back then?
Well, and I think at that time too, that's when Jimmy Johnson was, he was the man in NASCAR.
Exactly, yeah.
And Kyle was in the 5 car.
And you had Gordon. I don't think Junior was on the team then, but you had Gordon and
was it
Truex? No, not Truex. It was 25.
Was it Jason Leffler?
No. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. I'm gonna look that up because I think he drove in the 25 car.
Yeah, because you had the 48, the 24, the 5, which Kyle Busch was in.
Right, and the 25, I think.
Brian Vickers.
Thank you. Exactly. Boom. Where did you pull that from?
I had to think about it.
My goodness, that was good. I got to give you that. That was right on. That was fantastic. So, yes. And I mean, Brian Vickers never said a word.
No.
Not that I can remember.
Well, because, I mean, if you're Brian Vickers and you're running for Hendrick.
What was Terry like?
I think, well, Labonte kind of would tell you, because like that time that Earnhardt dumped him in that race, Terry definitely.
I know Bobby.
Bobby's
big difference. Yeah,
but Terry would tell you how it is if he riled his cage. But for the most
like
part,
Chase. That's what I think Chase is like there. But so. And I really want to see that fire from Chase because I think if somebody ignites that fire in Chase, I mean, you better watch out.
And I agree with you.
Because he's got the car.
Chase is kind of just that, shy kid that, no, dude, go out there and put your foot in it. And if you have to bang doors with that guy, bang doors with him.
Exactly.
I mean, you're running for Hendrick. You're, supposed to be the future star of NASCAR.
Right. Hendrick's going to have your back at the end of the day.
You got to go out there and perform.
Right. Absolutely. And, I mean, I'm waiting for it. I'm a fan. I like Chase, but, I really think that, he does. He kind of, and when I say this, I'm not saying that I'm going to be 20 times faster on iRacing, but I think now that I'm getting a little faster, a part of the reason I'm 5th and 6th in the races that I'm running in officials and stuff is because I'm like, okay, this guy's coming up. I'm going to give him this spot because I don't want to get dumped and I don't want to accidentally dump him. So there's a lot more give than there is to take.
And, but that's a double-edged sword because for the longest time in iRacing when I'd run in these league races and this, that, and the other, I was the same way. If we're coming in, go ahead, dude. I'm not going to try to hold you up. I'm not going to try to, take a chance of me getting dumped. But a lot of times, when I was letting this guy by, here comes somebody and just nail me.
Right. Or 3 other guys at that point are just floating by.
So that's when I started telling myself, you know what? You got to be a little more aggressive. And if you have to put the bumper to somebody, you got to put the bumper to somebody. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be like that. But I've learned by now on iRacing a lot of this stuff, and especially the officials and league racing. Some of these leagues, man, you got to make moves or you're going to be in the back.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. So yeah, I mean, an interesting concept spectrum. Again, we'll touch on that a little more in the iRacing segment. We'll finish this up. Harrison Burton, old Jeff Burton's son.
And speaking of Harrison Burton, that's what I meant to say last week when we were talking about a lot of the young guys that are in the Xfinity Series now.
We're seeing these guys.
And I said John Hunter Nemechek. I meant to say Harrison Burton.
Okay.
Burton's running for that JGR team in Xfinity.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So yeah, he's got a stud ride, and there again, if you're on that team like that, you've seen the guy that come out of the car,
Right? Oh,
Christopher Bell,
right.
so you know the team in the car is perfectly
100%,
capable
100%.
of winning races. You're going to have to do it.
Yep, I completely agree with you there. So, like I said, Harrison Burton, Jeff Burton's son, and that's interesting too. Like I just said, we're seeing a lot of these guys that ran when I was growing up, when you were growing up. Their kids are coming into play now. You mentioned Nemechek. You got Burton. You've got Earnhardt. I know that's a nephew of Dale.
Jeffrey.
Thank you. And then you
got Chase.
Yeah, duh. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's loads more that I can think of. And then it's just an interesting. So maybe some of these guys are gonna start back to that mentality, because you look at these guys' dads. Jeff Burton, not a guy you wanted to see in your rear view mirror.
Oh no, Jeff Burton was a hell of a driver.
Hell of a racer. And if his uncle's teaching him anything, you better look out. If Ward,
you know, that was so funny. You know, when you get Jeff and Ward Burton in there and they'd be doing an interview, and Jeff talks just fine. And then Ward.
Oh, it blows my. I asked Dad. I was like,
man, is he from the deep South somewhere?
Oh, yeah, man. Where is it?
It's he's from aren't they from like Virginia or something?
Okay, yeah. Man, it blew my mind.
I could be wrong on that, but I was thinking Virginia.
I think Bob and Tom even do a little skit on that, like Ward Burton after a race, and they're talking about that, and you just can't understand any of it. I just like dang my you hear Caterpillar.
Yeah,
and then Ford in the middle of it,
What happened today, Ward? Well, here's what happened. We come out of turn 4 and we burnt the tires off of it. Then we come in, did a pit stop, and had a dead battery. And
right, absolutely. And like Leo said, Logano with the Xfinity cars, and he's got a point. And I mean, that's your feeder series.
You do.
If not, you're stuck in AAA, AA baseball per se for your career, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, guys can make a career
you
out
can
of
make
the
a career
Xfinity,
out of it.
But I think everybody that's running those cars, your end goal is to be up in NASCAR. I mean, you want to run with the big guys, you want to run with that, or it's that's where you're ending. It's one of the two, because I mean, I don't know if they do that necessarily anymore, but they used to do that back in the day. Like you saw Dale Jarrett. I think he would go run a few Xfinity races as he got older. Junior.
Mark Martin.
There you go. Perfect. Mark Martin Jr. is going to run a few Xfinity races this year. So, yeah, he will do that. So, good morning, Dan DeLion.
And I think a lot of times, you know, on certain tracks, when these guys would run the Xfinity and run the Cup cars, you know, it's going to help them. They're getting out there and they're getting track time. So that way, come Sunday when they run the Cup cars, hey, yesterday we ran the Xfinity race. This far into the run, the car and the track start doing this, so we need to make these adjustments to the Cup car. So it's giving them more knowledge to be able to relay to their crew chief and everything like that, and hopefully have a better run on Sunday.
Right.
But at the same time, it kind of, I never really liked it how the Cup guys could come down and run the Xfinity Series, just because
you're taking away from them.
You are. You got these guys, that are trying to break their way into the Cup Series and get these wins and run for a championship. And I mean, when a Cup guy comes down to the Xfinity Series, he should go out there and dominate. Just like when Kyle runs the trucks, he should go out there and dominate. And speaking of the trucks,
oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Okay,
but with that though, I think the Cup and Xfinity cars are a lot closer together. Where the trucks, I think that's a whole another beast in my mind. I could be 100% wrong though. But I think, because we do see a lot of these guys, they stick in trucks. That's what they want to do. They want to run trucks. That is their end goal. If they move up to Xfinity, though, that's when, okay, we're going to watch this guy, see if he can move to There's some guys that move from truck to NASCAR. They skip that Xfinity. Not many, but they do. They make that jump there. And so it makes me wonder how much of that is a similar in what's I guess what you could do in that state is when those trucks are running different courses, like here. So when they're at ISM, allow him to run that because you're not getting any extra practice on the oval.
IMS?
No, ISM.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Is that not what it's called?
Well, you said here.
Or
and then
Lucas
you said
Oil. I'm sorry, Lucas Oil.
Lucas Oil. Okay.
IRP. Is that what
IRP?
it is? Yeah. So,
I was like, hold on. What?
if they're running there, because I think, or no, they run the trucks at Eldora.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go run the trucks at Eldora, and then you can come here. It makes you're not gaining any advantage. You're not getting on the road course because I don't think the trucks are running the road course. I think that's strictly Xfinity.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not gaining anything. You're having a great time out on the dirt with those trucks, and that's all.
And it is fun to watch them.
So in a case like Vegas, where they're at, and I think they did run the actual track, but if they're on that short track, like we were watching the K&N for a minute, if you're running a different car, that's where I think that you can actually say, okay, or if you're running a different track, I think then you, if anything, you could be hurting yourself. Because at that point, because I know even when I switch, the other day I'm running Formula 3s on Watkins Glen or something, and I switched to the BMWs, and I didn't realize it, but the track changed, and there's a different chicane in there. Something like that. Oh, boom. I went smoking through it, man. And, I mean, just that small little change could really kind of almost throw you off. Maybe not so much, obviously, with a professional driver, but.
And, and going back and talking about the truck series, I mean, we can look at one driver in particular just in the past 2 years, Ross Chastain.
Yeah.
Last year he had a hell of a season in the trucks, got several wins, and he contended for the championship. And, now he's secured a ride in the Xfinity series. Mm-hmm. So now he's running Xfinity. And now with Ryan Newman out, they called him up to drive the 6 car for Roush Fenway. So, that's the story that NASCAR is designed to do. That's what the trucks, Xfinity, Cup, it's designed for you to make those steps.
Right, it's a feeder series.
Right, and it even starts before then, ARCA, K&N, and going back to Hailie Deegan. I really admire, her and her dad and whoever else they're working with, the decisions they've made in her career. I'm sure that somebody would throw a sponsorship deal together enough to put her right in Xfinity or put her right in Cup.
Right.
But she's not doing that. She ran the K&N cars. Now she's running the ARCA cars. She's going to run a few truck races this year too. And then probably next year be in the trucks full time. But she's doing the right process. She's learning these different tracks. She's learning these different cars. She's learning how to relay to her crew chief, hey, the car's doing this. We need to make an adjustment here for this.
Right.
And that's just going to make her that much better when she gets to the top level or the next level or wherever she ends up. I think she will end up in Cup. I think she has that much talent and that much potential.
I agree. Absolutely.
I can see Hailie going very far in her racing career and being very successful.
Yep, I would 100% agree. I mean, we talked about that before. Cup guys back in the late models, that was
always exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Were the IROX late models?
No,
that was a completely different.
No, yeah,
okay.
IROX was no, they would. I believe what Leo was talking about is they would do a celebrity late model race at Eldora.
Right.
They'd have some Cup guys. They had NHRA guys like Ron Capps and Cruz Pedregon. These guys have never been on a dirt track in their life, but they would learn. And Ron Capps became a big fan of going over there and running it. He liked it, and wasn't bad.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, Leo. I want to see that again. And you get the trucks at Eldora now, and you get some guys, but not like how that late model race used to be. I want to see him get back to that.
I'm with you there. Yeah, that would be cool. And that's what we were talking about as well. Mr. Rooster.
Yes, she's running some IMSA stuff too.
And I'm excited to see that because that's what we said. I mean, if anything, that's just going to make her an overall better driver. I mean, you can go out there at that point. She can run dirt. She can run an oval. She can run a road course. So in the Cup cars, who's going to win the Watkins Glen? She's going to pave her way. Kaboom!
Yep.
She's going to pave her way each season
Yeah.
through a road course. If that's how you have to do it, NASCAR has allowed you to do that. And speaking of which, kind of benefits, Ryan Newman says, I'm going to make it back this year.
Yes.
I'm going to win a race.
Yep.
I'm going to get in the playoffs.
Yep.
So I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I love his spirit right now. Dude, he's ready to get back in the seat
but
and
you
at least
know,
give it a try.
You
won't know until.
Right now, Ryan, you just need to work on,
He's
making
out
sure
there
you're
fishing.
healthy. And...
That's what I like to. It seems like he is. He's laying back. But I think at the same time, you can't step away from it for too long. You have to get yourself kind of back into it, or that mind frame. The longer you go,
you lose that confidence.
Not only that, but the more that's on your mind, that wreck gets on your mind. You're thinking about that. You're out there fishing. How many times do you think he replayed that in his head? Probably every time he cast. Anytime he heard a click.
Or maybe not. Maybe he's out there fishing to get that out of his mind.
And you're right. But that's something I don't think I would be able to.
I agree with you. But going back to Hailie Deegan. So, I believe you posted it the other day on Facebook. They was talking to Kevin Harvick about Hailie Deegan. So Harvick's saying, look out for Hailie Deegan in 2024.
Right.
And Harvick's saying, he's probably done in 2023.
Exactly.
So, and Haley's running for Ford now. So I think they're implying that she's going to step into that 4 car. And I can really see her running for Stewart-Haas. I mean, Tony gave Danica a ride, and Danica was at Stewart-Haas. Hey, that would be a great ride for her to get in, a great team for her to be with. Because, I mean, when you think of Ford and you think on the level of Cup, there's really only 2 teams, Ford teams, that I would say that have a legit shot at going out winning week in, week out.
Stewart being one of them.
Stewart-Haas and Penske.
Yep.
And not knocking Roush. I mean, Roush has been around Cup for a long time, but they're not the team they used to be. Right now in Ford, it's Penske and it's Stewart-Haas. That's your 2 dominant Ford teams in the Cup cars.
And that's Stewart. What a better! I really think that really fits her style too. It seems like guys that go there, or the drivers that go there, they almost like Clint Boyer being one of them. It seems like after he made that move, he's just a little more laid back. He's having more fun. Harvick, look at Harvick when he made that move. He looks like he's just having more fun now.
Look at Eric Almirola. I mean, he don't get the results that he should. I mean, that guy has the worst luck. I hate to see it because he'll be up there running up front, having a good run, and something dumb just happens.
Right.
But he's up battling up front a lot more than he ever did when he ran for Petty.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, it makes me wonder that with Harvick coming out and saying that this whole Ford deal, that wasn't already the plan when Ford approached her.
Right. And I think in their head, they're all thinking that, because somebody even commented, and I don't know who it was exactly, but he said, well, that would fit in just like, I think it was Bell, with 2 years in trucks, 2 years in Xfinity, and then boom, you're making your move. So this could be your first year, second year next, and then 2 more years. And then boom, you're making that move. If you show glimpses, I mean, I don't think you have to, with Hailie Deegan, I don't think you have to go out there and win every week.
No.
You have this, I mean, people understand you're driving a lot more than a lot of other people. I mean, you're out there, you're doing 4 series, 5 series. That weighs on you. So I would hope she steps back and kind of like gets her focus, because right now, maybe put the trucks aside, the dirt trucks. Maybe you hang that up for a bit, but at the same time, you don't want to step out of it, because then you might lose that little niche, if you will, that you had there, and that can help you. I mean, we've seen it; it can help you in the asphalt side. So. And
then we were talking before the show that Ford sent Hailie a GT350, a brand new GT350. I'm not a Ford guy, but that car sounded good.
Her dad, like, why couldn't they just give her something safe?
I was hoping they would send her a Raptor or a truck or something.
A roll cage.
Right. He's like, I was hoping to have like a roll cage like her race car does. He goes, because her driving's sketchy.
On the road,
like,
yeah, exactly.
And a race car, her driving's not sketchy, but so she gets in this car and fires it up. Did you see her coming through the turn and ripping the e-brake and slinging it around?
Ford going.
And it's a stick shift.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they left it in gear. Who parks it and leaves it in gear? That's what I do with my Jeep because it doesn't have an e-brake anymore, a parking brake, I should say. That's.
But yeah, that was cool. I mean, 18 years old and Ford sending you a brand new GT350.
Sweet ride.
All right.
Right, exactly. That truck, that trailer that he brought it in was huge. And that's what Brian's saying. He's like, I don't know if they know we live on a dirt road, and it's a white.
And they do. I mean, it's straight
Mustang.
back to dirt road. But if you ever watch, they have the Deegans on Facebook.
Right.
Haley's two younger brothers, because they have like 4 or 5 dirt tracks out back, like motocross dirt tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Her brothers are out there ripping up the tracks.
Oh yeah,
all
absolutely.
the time. So that's what I'm saying. Watch out for her brothers. They're going to be the next stars in motocross.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to have Brian's going to have a daughter that's going to be a star in NASCAR. And then you're going to have 2 sons that's going to be stars in motocross.
Well, but she can do the same thing. She's out there teaching those boys how to do some of those moves. So, I mean, she got her start like that.
I don't know if she ever ran motocross. I know she ran the trucks.
Well, I mean, she's out back, and I was watching a video. She's showing the older of the 2 boys how to do a heel click. And it's like, man, first of all, your sponsors might not want to see that, but I mean, she was younger back then. I
mean, that's what her dad did.
Exactly. So, I mean, she grew up having fun, at least doing that stuff. So she knows somewhat, and she's teaching them like how to do some of the stuff. So she does at least have the knowledge, because that's completely different than a truck.
How cool would that be to come home every day and just have this big old playground out in your backyard?
Right, absolutely.
I mean, there would never be a dull moment.
That's what Mr. Howdy saying. He can ride just as good there. Tammy, hello. She's tuning in.
Oh, that's my cousin.
That's cuz, right? Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Brad. Howdy.
So so we said he got the poll there. Then we'll talk about it now. We'll talk about it now. Is somebody put out a bounty. Old Kevin Harvick puts out a bounty. Says any Cup driver that can come in here and beat him in a truck, $100,000.
Kyle Busch.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kyle. Yeah. I said him. Yeah. But $100,000, it's yours. We talked about that last week.
And Chase said, "I'm your Huckleberry."
Exactly, this week. And Larson.
And did
you see this? So they're running for the same team. 4 out of the next 5 races that he's running, they're gonna run. So they're not running on a team together. Because when I posted that link, I got excited because they didn't say like they were running separate or anything like that. It was they're gonna run on a team together, and I was like, oh, this is a preview. This is what we're going to see next year in Cup, is Larson with Chase here, the 48 and the 9 going at it here. So kind of an interesting thing. So Chase is going to run Atlanta and Kansas.
Yep.
And then Larson's going to run that truck at Homestead, Miami. So or Homestead, Miami, I guess that's so. Yeah. The 3 out of the next 5 races, they're going to go after it there. So interesting to watch there. I think one of them's going to get it done. And Larson comes out, and after Busch wins that truck series, drops a couple cherries. And Harvick came out to him, and he was talking a little smack to him. Didn't understand like what he was doing. He was like, "Oh no, that's me congratulating him, because that's what people do to me when I win dirt races." So adding that little cherry on top there. Larson, he's one of those guys too, and I'm not going to go back to the PR and everything, but he's one of those guys that really doesn't talk on camera too much. So for him to come out and say that, it's like that's all those NASCAR, because he even said that's all those NASCAR fans that want to give me crap for winning dirt races. So I thought that was awesome right there. He's throwing it out there, and for all those dirt guys that want your fair share, there's a dirt podcaster on Facebook that I've seen, and he just talks all types of crap to Larson. He's like, man, Larson is a heck of a spokesman for dirt. I mean, he is getting That's really moving the ball for dirt.
It really is.
And people are starting to watch
him and Christopher Bell both.
Exactly. I mean, people are in the midgets. I mean, you start somewhere, you go to those, and then they're gonna like, okay, well, I'm gonna check out these pros because these midgets are pretty cool on the dirt. So it's just gonna open that, and then they're gonna be watching Kenny Wallace. I go in there and whoa, and that was just qualifying. Calm down.
And you know, speaking of Kenny Wallace, you know Ken Schrader still races and runs on dirt and stuff.
Really, I did not know that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So I mean, we've talked about it here. It's fun. I mean, we race it on iRacing. I've never been on a track, obviously, but there's a lot more wheeling to it. It's
a lot more throttle to it.
It's sprint races compared to, I'm not going to say NASCAR's an endurance race by any means, but I mean, these are quick 10, 12 lap heats, and then you're going out for a little longer. But you're getting out of the car, you're moving around, you're not in that car for 3 hours. So it's a little easier for these guys like Ken Schrader and those guys to go out there and have a good time. And at this point, they've made their money, and they can afford this to the point where, because like we said, I mean, last place in a NASCAR race is gonna fund your dirt racing.
Yeah, it's probably last place in a NASCAR race is probably more than I make a year.
Exactly, it's gonna fund your dirt racing for the year there. So, that's true too. Stewart, he has always been a big proponent, and I think with Stewart out of NASCAR now and him on the back end, Eldora will have a cup race there. I do believe that because he is pushing hard for that.
Well, I mean, they already have the truck race there.
Oh, I'm saying a cup race.
I would like to see like Larson, Boyer, Bell.
Test it.
Some of them guys run the truck race over there.
Right.
I mean, they're dirt guys that can sling it. And
look at NASCAR roots.
And Eldora is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing to run on dirt. And, it's big and fast. I love Eldora.
It's fun to watch a race, but man, I can't drive it.
But you know,
I'm not one of those guys that can go around the top of the thing without going pow.
It gets me and you don't realize it in iRacing because it doesn't seem like Eldora has that much of a banking in iRacing. But if you go to the actual track, I remember the first time I ever went there. It's when Dad and I were working for Jimmy White on the midget, and we had Johnny Parsons Jr. driving for us. We pull up to Eldora, and I'm like, "Where's track at?" You see this fence. I'm like, "Where's track?" So we get out of the truck, walk up to the fence. You look down. Oh, there's a track.
That's it.
And then when you go out on the track and you start walking up it, you can almost touch your nose on the track as you're walking up. There's that much banking.
Nice.
It's like a bowl.
Nice. That's I always love watching like at Bristol when they were working on it, putting the dirt down. You could just see all those workers, and I can't imagine doing an 8-hour shift putting dirt down at Bristol.
Oh yeah.
Oh my.
But that was such a great race,
dude. Your legs would be just on fire.
That's such a great race.
Your back would hurt. I mean, you're standing in some weird positions.
And going to a dirt track, I don't know if they still do it, but I know when we were traveling and doing the dirt races with the midget, you'd see all these guys going out there on the track, pulling a flathead screwdriver out of their back pocket and sticking it in the track.
Just to see, like,
you know what they were doing? They were seeing how far the tack was going down, how far the moisture was going down in the track. So they'd stick that down there.
When they pull it out, they'd see it on
they would see how much like mud was sticking to the screwdriver. Mm-hmm. They knew how far the moisture was.
I'm with you. Yeah, that
so
makes
then they
sense.
knew what tire to run.
Okay, little compact. They probably don't let you do that anymore. I have no idea.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure probably now they got some kind of electronic gizmo that you can stick down there and it'll tell you. But yeah, it used to be a screwdriver. Just stick a screwdriver down there. And
that's technology right there at its finest. So that pretty much
wraps it up for NASCAR.
Yeah, it does. Bag it, tag it.
We had a lot of talk about NASCAR.
It was, and I think with this rookie class in there, they're pushing the competition a little this season, and we're seeing it so far. I think the last two races have been pretty good. I'm not going to say they were fantastic,
no,
but it's better than and let's not judge Daytona, but I guess Vegas was better than Vegas last year.
Yeah.
So
and you got to think it's right now is a great time for racing in all series, actually, because we saw the rookie class that was IndyCar last year, and now look at the rookie class that's in NASCAR this year. I mean, so
He said they still do track walks and screwdrivers work perfect. Yeah.
See?
That's awesome.
See?
So we'll move on over. You know, what's one of the best sounds in your mind in a race car right now? What
Right now?
Yeah. What race car? Main out of the main three, which one do you like the best?
I'd probably have to say a F1 car.
Thank you. You did that perfect. And you know what sounds fantastic right now? This room, because of Orlex, all this fantastic acoustic treatment around the room. Big thanks
You
to
can
them
see it right there above the sign.
over at Orlex here.
And you can see it on the wall right there.
Right here is nice.
Hey,
It's thick.
I know where that sign come from.
You do. It's thick. It's I believe 1 inch thick here and fireproof. So if it goes up, I had some cheap Amazon stuff, and that was more of a igniter.
Right. This is flame retardant.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, really quality. And we got the Pro Max 2s over there.
I love those things.
They stand up on a mic stand, and man, they're just
You
perfect.
can
Hard
aim
backing.
'em.
Yep, hard backing. They got the that's a 2 inch thick pad on that. So
I mean, if you're in a band or
if you want your race room,
right,
just to sound on it, because I'll tell you what, when I installed this, and we won't stick on it for too long, but when I installed this, you came in, you could hear a difference.
oh, you can.
You're a music guy, so not a big deal to me. My wife comes in, she has not an ear for anything but the kids, and she walks in, she's like, "Wow, it sounds different in here."
Yeah.
And I mean, just like that.
Before you can.
And
You used to be able to hear it echo.
Oh yeah,
Now
absolutely. It's dead. So just a big shout out to them. They're on board with us all year long. So check them out, Orlex, and make sure to tell
Good
them
morning, Kyle.
that the boys over at Checkers and Records and BWSPORTS1 sent you there. So leads us into the finest sound in motorsports. It's just that much better than an IndyCar.
I can't get that
to me.
high pitch.
No. Yeah, I can't do that either.
I mean, they just those engines just sound like they're pissed. And
I was running.
it was even better when they were V12s.
Oh yeah, but I was running the FW31. You came in, you saw that video, and I just love that sound on that. It's just.
And can you believe they're getting that sound out of a 4-cylinder engine?
That was a 4-cylinder. I thought that was a V6.
Is it a V6?
I thought that one was, but still, I mean, to get that power out of an IndyCar is a 4-cylinder.
Yes.
So I mean, to get that power out of that, yeah, absolutely, it's just phenomenal. I'm glad there's a lot of people smarter than me out there, because if not, we wouldn't have racing. That's for sure. Ferrari and FIA come to a settlement on the 2019 engine, and they're not saying anything. So you know what that tells me? People were wrong. Ferrari was in the right, and they're not going to even say what they were looking into at this point, because it was not against any rules, regulations like that. So you don't want to give the competitor a hand up, because that Ferrari power has been seen and proven to be a little more powerful, especially in the straights, than everybody else there. So,
okay, so here's the specs on the current Formula One engine.
I was wondering what happened there.
Formula One currently uses a 1.6 liter 4-stroke turbocharged 90-degree V6. They were introduced in 2014 and have been modified over the past seasons. So the power a Formula One engine produces is generated by operating at a very high rotation speed. 15,000 RPM is what these engines are wrapping up for a V6. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That kind of explains why they can
That's
go
why
a
they
whole race
scream.
and refuel, no refueling. You get some good gas mileage out of that thing too, being a little tinier than a V because heck, NASCAR's running a 350 or I know that's
probably even just a little bit bigger.
Right, exactly. So just phenomenal technology there. So interesting bit there. Ferrari comes off and Vettel shows some speed.
Yep.
But F1 comes out and says, "Hey, we just got to get this out there. Italy's in this middle of the coronavirus right now, we will run Melbourne without Ferrari if it comes to it. So we're going to see a lot of things come to fruition with this illness, and especially Formula One, due to them traveling. And now, if it comes here in a high manner, you're going to see it in NASCAR. But like F1, you got to think F1 is driven so much by sponsors. These guys are not going to meet with anybody. You are not going to see an F1 driver this year, because at that point they don't want you coughing. They don't need. They can't have that because it's a 2-week quarantine. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you're missing races. And if you're Ferrari, you can't miss a race. You're in a detrimental time right now, especially if you're Benito. I think Benito. I would think your butt is to the flames right now.
Yeah, I mean it. And the thing about it is, some people are probably saying, well, if you can't go to that country because of the coronavirus, why not, pick a different track to race at? It's not that easy for F1.
No.
I mean, you have so much equipment to move.
Your tickets are already sold.
Right.
Well in advance of that.
Right. I mean, because you could sit here and say, okay, well, they could come run COTA, and then they could run Laguna Seca, or they could run Road America. But, these I know what they're going to say. These tracks aren't sanctioned to run FIA. I understand that, but you got to get races in, but you got to make sure the teams, the fans, everything stays safe.
That's a big thing. You can't go to a track that these guys haven't tested at and they're not 100% familiar with,
right,
and then have them, okay, go 200 miles an hour, please. Like, no. Now, you could bring them back to Indy. I mean, no, because they haven't been here. None of those guys have been.
A few have. I mean, Lewis has.
Okay, yeah, he has. And then
Kimi,
and then Kubica.
Yep, Kubica.
Kubica is a what do they call those drivers? A reserve.
Yep.
And he's for Alfa Romeo. He sets the fast time in the 4th day of practice.
And he's a reserve driver.
Antonio Giovinazzi is going, uh-oh. You talk about somebody's butt to the flame.
If it was me,
you're lucky he's old.
Would be out. Kubica would be in.
For a year, you might do that as your Giovinazzi is going to be your backup, your reserve. Man, but Kubica really shown he can still wheel that thing. Williams comes out talking about Kubica and really says last year we had to just test. Like, that was a year for testing for us. We got our car completely wrong, so we couldn't invest in a new car at that point. So we were testing for this year. So that, I think we're seeing that, but Mercedes is having a little bit of problems with their power unit right now, and they're using Mercedes power. So reliability is not necessarily there. And we've seen this before with Mercedes. I think last year in practice, they came out, their power unit wasn't 100% reliable. We saw some problems with it during practice there, but both Williams and Mercedes, I don't think Racing Point had an issue.
I don't believe they did either.
With the power unit, but they are using Mercedes power as well.
But speaking of Racing Point, and we talked about it on the show last week, how we say that Racing Point is running last year's Mercedes. Mm-hmm. Did you see the picture this week? They put a picture up.
Oh, and it's dead on.
It was half the Mercedes and half the Racing Point. Mm-hmm. It's exact same.
There's, like I said,
there's little minute differences, but not that much.
Exactly.
They're running last year's Mercedes. I'm telling you they are.
And they're saying with the new regulations and everything like that, you're going to see a lot more of the buying of older cars like that from these top teams, which it's not a bad model. You just better hope that.
Well, next year it's going to change because these cars.
Right. But I'm saying so like McLaren has said, even like the top 3 teams still have an advantage for the next 5 years.
I think what we'll end up seeing in F1 is kind of like how IndyCar used to be in the past. Remember when Penske made his own cars, made his own chassis?
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm with you.
And then you had like the Bentonhausens and who else would buy the previous year Penske chassis and run it because it was still competitive.
Right.
I think you're going to see a lot of teams start doing this, and I think you're going to see maybe 3 chassis manufacturers in F1. You're going to definitely Ferrari's always going to maintain their own chassis. If Mercedes stays in, which is still a question right now, if they stay in, I'd say that would be one of the chassis manufacturers and possibly McLaren. And then all your other teams will just buy their chassis from them. I mean, because you already have these teams that are running, the power plants. Ferrari's has 2 other teams running Ferrari engines, I believe. Mercedes has 2 other teams running Mercedes power. You got Renault has, I think, at least one more team besides them running Renault power. So, you're already getting your power plants from these teams, so why not chassis too?
Right. No, exactly. So now Dallara not involved with the new car, are they?
I don't think so.
Okay. For some reason, I thought they were, but you could be very right there. So
they might design some parts on it. I could be wrong on that. I don't know who's. Like I said, it's going to be hard to tell Ferrari, look, you can't design a chassis anymore,
right?
Because that's always been F1.
They still have their power unit because that's still a Ferrari power unit.
But still, though, F1 has always been about
I'm with
these teams building the car from ground up.
Williams. I mean, look at that. I believe he built his own chassis. I mean, he had some terrible ones. That round wing, it looked like a twist-up toy. That was just absolutely horrendous. But yeah, so I mean, just shows you. But I mean, with that comes innovation through technology like that. That's what we're seeing, like the DOS stuff like that. You're not going to have that in the new regulations.
Oh no, F1 already said it's done.
Well, I'm saying like those innovations like that, they're going to come, but they're going to be fewer and farther between because these teams aren't going to be competing to get the latest bit of technology on their car.
Well, and now because you see throughout the year. These teams update the chassis, whether it be they introduce a new front wing,
right, exactly,
a new rear wing, new this. Next year these caps come in, and teams are only allowed to spend X amount of dollars for the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to see a lot more of these teams, like say Mercedes, Racing Point, and Williams. They could all team up. Throw all that money in a pot, say, all right, now our budget went from this to this.
Right.
But that's for all 3 of us. So that might give them a little bit more money for development.
Exactly. Right. It gives Mercedes more money because they're getting from the other guys, and it gives those other guys more money because they're pulling from Mercedes. Then.
Right.
So, and I'm with you there. That makes sense, and I could see where that would be a solid way to go about and do that there. So, I like that outlook of it. I do, but I think just really, like I said, though, with those that technology advances, they're going to be a little fewer and farther between with the new regulations and stuff.
Yep. And they did some testing this past week.
They did.
Who was on top?
Overall fastest was Valtteri Bottas, just barely edging out Verstappen, and I think right there, I'm going to say. We're going to have a 3-way shootout, and it may come down to the final race of the season between Verstappen, Bottas, and Leclerc. I think Hamilton, he's had a little too much success, if you will.
AJ even agrees.
He's shaking, yeah? Mm-hmm. So I think he needs a losing season to get another one, I think. And he might be right there with him. But I think we're going to see just an absolutely competitive year this year. Verstappen's going to go for gold this year.
Well, and we've seen it last year. Bottas definitely had the speed, and he was, in the hunt in a lot of these races, and he's hungry.
Yep.
I'm going to say early on right now and throw it out there. Bottas may be your F1 champion this year.
I'm going to agree with you on that. Like, it's really, I think
he wants it. He wants it bad.
But at the same respect, the one person, all 3 of those guys want it. I think Leclerc wants it the least right now, just because he's the youngest. He hasn't been in there, and he knows like what it takes. Verstappen, on the other hand, is thinking to himself, I'm a driver. I know this. We got new regulations coming next year, though. I don't know where I'm going to be. I might not be here at Red Bull. I might be at Racing Point next year. I mean, I doubt it.
I doubt it too, but I understand what you're saying.
He's going to go for gold this year, I think. And go ahead.
I don't, on the Leclerc deal, I don't think Ferrari's there yet. I don't think that car is ready to compete for a championship
Mentally,
yet.
He's going to have problems with that too, because he's going to get frustrated. We're going to see that same kind of Verstappen attitude like we saw last year.
And speaking of that, I think that's what's going to hinder Verstappen. Verstappen's not that driver that's calm, cool, and collected. I've seen him get in situations and get flustered, and that could be his demise on a championship this year.
And you are correct. That's where you see Bottas is he's going to sit back and he knows, like, hey, if this guy's going to try to make that move, I'm going to hold back because he's going to nail him, and I'm going to pass both of these guys.
But Bottas reminds me a lot of Mika Hakkinen.
That's I like, yeah.
Because
very technical.
Well, and they always call Mika the Iceman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Bottas is. Now, he made the mistake in, what was that last year where he hit the wall? Was that Spain?
He had a rough year last year with all the pressure on him with the re-signing with Mercedes.
And I think that's what it was he's worried about getting re-signed because after he got re-signed,
he got back on that track.
He was smooth as silk and fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think you really need to watch out for Valtteri this year.
If I'm him this year, too, I mean, I get to a certain extent they're signing your paychecks and stuff like that. But at the end of the year, if you win the title, if you disregard team orders to win the title over him, if Mercedes fires you, you have a seat anywhere.
And that's what I was just getting to lead into because, it's still in speculation if Mercedes even be around next year.
Right, absolutely.
So I think Valtteri needs to go out, win that championship, win as many races as you can, and then your worth's going to go.
Oh, 100%.
Hey.
And then you
Vettel
just got to
be out at Ferrari. Let's pick up Valtteri.
Right. You just got to explain to your next boss, like, hey, I ain't going to do that again. You see the situation that I was. You're an F1 guy, and you really got to sit down with that guy and say, hey, I'm a team player. But, that was the situation last year, and I wanted to be on your team, so I had to show you something. That's the way I would kind of approach that and go after that one there. So, excuse me, an interesting outlook on that. And like I said, Kubica throwing it down with the Alfa Romeo car day 4, but overall Bottas getting it done. Mercedes even coming out, and obviously they're going to try to they're going to stir up, they're going to pour gas on their own fire as they're coming out and saying, oh yeah, we're worried about the power unit. No, you're not. You're back there throwing money at it, and you're going to have it ready. It's going to be reliable. It might not be the fastest. I don't think Mercedes has ever had the fastest power unit out there.
No, but where they didn't have the top end speed,
they had the technology,
they had
on
the handling,
right, or the chassis. That.
The Mercedes last year where the Ferrari struggled is where the Mercedes excelled.
Absolutely, oh yeah.
Mercedes didn't have the straightaway speed the Ferrari did. But they could bring it into the turns so much harder, and they could carry the speed through the turns where the Ferrari couldn't.
Absolutely, yep. So, that obviously that right there is what played into Mercedes taking that constructor's title, and that really wraps her up for F1. As we are, like I said, 3 weeks away, and the eyes are on FIA to see what they're going to do with the sickness going on and everything like that. It'll be an interesting year for Formula One. Not the year if anything happens, because we've already seen China postponed. So not the final year of the old time regulations and rules, if you will, that you want to see. But
I hope it really doesn't hinder it. With this being the last year under these rules, I want to see a great racing season.
Absolutely, yep, I completely agree with you there, and I think we are primed and ready to go for that. So hopefully we are able to see that real quick. Drive to Survive Season 2. It's out, and it was fantastic. I'm not going to give anything away. We'll just leave it at that. Just really good documentary. They did a fantastic job with that. Nailed that one out just like the first season there. So,
but this season has all teams in it, correct?
Yes, it does. Yeah, so they're talking to Ferrari, they're talking to Mercedes, They are chatting it up with now. Obviously, your Mercedes, your Ferrari guys, they weren't bothering them as much as Haas and stuff like that because they're following Haas quite a bit. And just I'll leave it at this: is it really makes me question why Haas re-signed their drivers after last year. So if not dropping them both, why they kept, or not dropping them both, why they kept or didn't drop at least one of them. I didn't know how to say that there, but I can't believe they didn't drop at least one of them. So check that out if you got Netflix. If not, get with me. We'll see what we can do for you. So
borrow somebody's password.
There you go. So we'll hop on over, do a little supercar action real quick.
Supercars.
Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Dude just outright quits. Like, I have never heard about this in my life. And a pretty famous James Courtney, big name in supercar, just goes to his team and says, "You guys aren't performing like you told me."
And when you say supercars, you're talking about the V8 supercar series, right? Okay.
He goes, "Man, you're not doing it like you said you would. Here's the keys. I'm done." It's like, whoa. I don't think I've ever seen anybody just say, "All right, hey, dude, you promised me this." And
evidently he wasn't happy there.
They are. So that right there, I think, is going to hinder him unless he has something in mind already and he's ready to go with it. There's going to be a lot of race teams that look at him and be like, "Man, do I really want a guy that's going to toss me the keys right now?" I mean, this is you're going to court over something like that, I'm sure. That's an interesting stipulation. We'll keep our eyes out on that because, I mean, contracts and stuff like that, I don't know if how that all works out, really. So I just happened to come across that. That was just yesterday I was reading that. So I'll get a little more info on that. But we'll move over to some IndyCar action.
Yeah, we got some big news on that.
So where do you have a place you like to go to maybe you see a girl out in public and you think, "Man, she looks kind of nice. I'd like to write her a note." I
do, and it was late last night, so I couldn't hit her up and ask her to type me up a note last night. But I go to typoedits.net.
Absolutely, and right now they got that promo code BWSPORTS1
numeral 1.
Absolutely, and get
40% off.
I think that
or is it 30%?
40%.
Man, that's almost half price.
Exactly. So we're a big supporter of local business and independent people there. So she's a mother of two out there, just trying to get her feet on the ground, doing what she does. A Notre Dame grad.
Yep.
Very intelligent lady there. So if you've got a resume, a cover letter, a love letter, a bio, a blog, whatever it be, if you need it just to look a little more professional, hop on over to typoedits.net and get with Olivia there. She will get you taken care of. So we are.
I bet the ass over at Black and White Sports uses typo edits a lot.
Oh, I bet, yeah. I need to use
for
a
apology
more.
notes.
Apology.
I can see himself getting in a lot of trouble.
Right.
He's good at doing that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. He doesn't live by my motto. Though.
No, not at all.
No, not
That's
a lot
why
of
they
people
call him
do.
the ass.
Not a lot of people live by my motto.
No. What is that motto?
A lot of people live by the happy wife, happy life, but I'm the slightly annoyed, slightly irritated wife, very entertaining life.
I love that.
So
I love that.
Not annoyed.
No,
you don't want to get to that.
No, you don't want to get annoyed.
That's a no fun life.
What was that on Domino's commercials? The Noid.
That's good.
Avoid the Noid.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to go there.
So IndyCar.
Yeah, big news coming out.
Big news. And I'm still kind of before you. I'm trying to grasp this in my mind. How this even happened
from both ends.
Yeah,
you and me both.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that came out of this is he's in a Chevy.
So break it down.
Fernando Alonso going to get his third run at his Indy 500 title with
who?
Spam. That's what everybody's calling him. They hate
Spam.
it, I think they hate it.
I would too because I hate Spam.
Schmidt, Peterson, Arrow, McLaren.
Yep.
And these guys are taking on.
I'm just going to call him
Fernando. So I bet you this hat is off sale now. It's no longer probably on sale.
Right. I almost wore my Fernando hat today too.
Exactly. So if he runs 14, it'll be perfect.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, when I seen that announced, I'm like, hold on here. You just 2 months ago, got released from McLaren, all ties severed with McLaren. McLaren wants nothing to do with you. Done.
Yep.
Then you get the Andretti deal. Then Honda tells you, no, we don't want you running any Hondas. You're done there. So now he's back with McLaren, going to run a McLaren with a Chevy.
Yep.
Wow.
And a Dallara.
Right. Right.
So that's what somebody said when I posted that. He's like, a McLaren Dallara?
I'm glad because, I am a Fernando fan. And I really want to see him have a legitimate shot at winning the 500.
But look at the past 2-3 years. Where's that team been?
Last year was a debacle.
Fighting to get in, just like McLaren was last year. He was battling Fernando for that spot. The year before that, he failed to make it. So, I mean, that was his wreck, though. So,
last year he didn't make it. The year before that's when he ran with Andretti.
And he got in the accident. Well, he got in the accident because he missed 2 in a row, didn't he?
No.
Okay, so there was a gap in there.
This is only his 3rd time.
Not Fernando. I'm sorry, Hinchcliffe.
Oh, okay, Hinch, yes.
So he got in his accident, and then the next year he comes out and he's fighting to get into it with speed.
And missed it.
Exactly. So it's like, okay. And then he comes back, and he just barely makes it. It's like, oh, my goodness, guys. So, I mean, I don't know if you were sharing notes with McLaren there last year, but it doesn't seem like a good pairing here.
And I agree with you, but I really think McLaren's going to come with all their ducks in a row this year. After that debacle last year, something tells me that they reassured Fernando, because if they didn't, why would he even want to go to that team? Because at this point, after last year, I would almost rather go to Carlin.
Oh,
I mean Carlin made the show last year.
Carlin was helping McLaren now last year, so
but
I don't
still
know.
They made the show.
And you're right, exactly.
And so they had to sit down and talk, and Alonso had to talk with them, and they had to reassure him, look, we are good to go. We have the cars. We have the people. We will make the show.
Either that or he is that, I'm not going to say desperate, but willing and wanting to hop into the 500 that he is going to take anything. Yeah. But, I mean, he's got to know to himself. Like, and any car is different. Any car, I think, on that track, any given Sunday for the most part can win, especially at the 500.
And
I truly do think so.
And I hate to say this, and I know people do say it, and I hate it when they put this term on the series. But it is kind of like a spec series. I mean, you have one tire, one tire manufacturer, you have one chassis, and you have 2 motors.
Mm-hmm. So there's your difference.
That's the only difference. Right. But besides that, and what you just said, any car out there should be able to make it in the show. But however, you still have your Penske's, your Ganassi's that are going to have these one-off parts that are legal, right? Like they'll take the mirrors and they'll shave them down and polish them on them,
right?
And only Penske cars will have a mirror like that. Well, and once another team sees how they did it, then they're going to go make their version of that.
Exactly.
So it's every little bit that like I like to say, massaging on the car to get that extra little bit of speed out of it.
Yep.
But I really think McLaren will get in the show this year with Fernando Alonso.
Oh, I think they have all 3 cars in the show this year.
Oh, I think they do too. But just why, trying to answer the question, why would Fernando go back there? I really think the McLaren's ready. I mean, they've showed that their F1 teams turned around,
and that they have. I do agree with that. And they started off a little rough last year too. I mean, Sainz didn't get a top 10 for the first 3 races, something like that, and then he comes around and gets his first podium later in the year. So.
And then Norris. I mean, with Sainz and Norris, I think they really saw last year the potential of the 2 drivers they have.
Norris is rarely out of the top 10,
and said, "Hey, look, we got a couple drivers here.
Right.
We need to put a car underneath them, because if we can give them a good ride, they're going to go out there and they're going to drive the wheels off of it, and they're probably going to. I think McLaren could be top 3, top 4 this year.
Right. No,
I could see McLaren beating Ferrari out.
There's people that are saying McLaren and Racing Point could possibly knock Ferrari back that far.
Considering Racing Point has last year's Mercedes, I can see them. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
I mean, as long as the drivers can drive it and they don't have any engine failures or anything like that, you have the same exact car that won the championship last year.
Right. No, I'm with you 100% there. So an interesting take there. I was blown away. I didn't understand it one bit. Not at all what I expected. I did expect to see him in the 500, just not with McLaren there. So he'll be in that familiar orange. I would think they'll do it up orange for him.
Oh yeah,
do that old paint style there, because the other one's kind of changing there a little.
I'm anxious, man. I'm ready to see this season get underway because I'm ready to see Paddock back in a car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to see what Oliver's going to do in a car.
Yeah,
I think he's a very talented rookie. I'm anxious to see what Colton's going to do with his second year and under his belt. Santino. I think Dixon, which you can't. It's hard to say Dixon's not a contender for the championship any year.
Right. Rosenquist,
I think he's going to get his first. Definitely going to get his first win this year.
I 100% agree with that,
and probably a couple more.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean I'm super excited for this IndyCar season.
2 weeks. So what is 2 weeks? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
That's what I think it is. So I am right there with you. Very, very excited for this one. And Scott McLaughlin there from Supercars. Mm-hmm. He's got that ride with Penske for the Grand Prix this year.
Okay.
Goes to his team in Supercars and says, "Hey guys, this is my last year." He's coming to Indy.
Supercars is having some bad luck right now.
Right. Nothing official that he's coming over here, but I think we're going to see Will Power step out of Penske, and he's going to take that spot, honestly. Well, I think this is Will's final year in a Penske ride.
Okay, and here's my next question, because we all know it's JJ's last year in Cup,
mm-hmm.
and he's been showing up to these IndyCar test sessions.
Right.
And he's also quoted that, running IndyCar races on his bucket list.
Right. He wants to do the street and road courses. He mentioned the 5. It seems like he's more interested in like St. Pete and Detroit and those ones, though.
So if he does come next year, where do you see him ending up at? Because he's not going to run for a slouch team. It's going to have to be Penske, Ganassi, or Andretti.
I think it's going to be Schmidt-Peterson. I think he's going to be a one-off at Schmidt-Peterson, in all honesty, because he had that connection with Zach Brown through his swap with Fernando back in the day with McLaren. So they have connections. He was Zach Brown's guest at the training at COTA.
Okay.
So I think, and we'll see. I mean, it'd be interesting because if Fernando has that seat, it changes things.
Well, and going back to Fernando, did you see where he quoted that he would like to run more Indy races?
He was going, that's what I was going to say too, because that was in the plans as far as he was going to test with Andretti and run some of the road courses and street courses, maybe even this year.
I would love to see Fernando on a street course.
100%, I agree with you. And
he would be
with him
absolute
not
monster.
Back in there, you wonder, is McLaren going to back him at all? Are they going to give him a couple sessions and say,
I think they are.
Why wouldn't you?
I think they are
if
because
he wants to do it, why wouldn't you?
Because he's coming out and making these comments. So you're making these comments, and if there wasn't talks going on, he wouldn't be making these comments.
Right.
So I'm almost wondering, could we see him at St. Pete?
I wouldn't go that quick, but maybe the Detroit duels after Indy, because I think he's going to put most of his focus to Indy. And then after that, so COTA. I think COTA's before Indy, actually. No, it's not.
No, it's after.
So COTA, Detroit.
Why not run the Grand Prix? You already got a car there for him.
Yeah, but again, I think his main goal this year is first things first. Let's make this race in May.
Well, I understand that, but at the same time, let's go out and run the Grand Prix.
Get your feet under there.
Let me get my confidence that these cars are going to be good for me to go out there and make a qualifying run and try to put it in for the 104th running of the Indy 500.
Right.
I just think if you give him a ride in the Grand Prix or even before the Grand Prix, get him in the car. You know, this is an experienced veteran driver that you can get some feedback from. And that's why I was saying I wouldn't be surprised to see him at St. Pete, because right now you have Paddock, Oliver Askew. You got two young guns in your cars that really aren't going to give you a whole lot of information like Fernando will. I know Paddock's ran some IndyCar races, but he's still not what I'd call a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
What better way to get your Indy program up and running strong than having a multi-time world F1 champion like Fernando Alonso getting in your car and shaking them down,
right,
and relaying everything you need to do.
No, I'm with you there, 100% there, because I mean it makes sense, because like you said, I mean you're gonna need somebody. I don't know how Askew is. I don't know how Paddock is about giving that information. Right. Paddock seems like he is. Askew seems like he's more the driver, and Paddock is more that technical guy. I could be 100% wrong there on that, but still, you're not. Fernando's given that feedback, especially on road courses, and that's his life, or the circuits. It's not an oval. So that's where I really think, and that's where Oliver is going to be a benefit to that team, as far as that goes on setting an oval car up, I think. Because, I mean, you were with Andretti. So you sat there with Andretti for 2-3 years in Indy Lights, and you really, if you were smart, you really honed your knowledge and stuff like that, and really took what you had in, because not too many people get the opportunity to go straight from the Andretti Indy Lights up into the Andretti team there. I mean, we saw Herta. He made the move, but he was in that one-off team for his first year. And Oliver Askew didn't get that opportunity. And so he ran for Andretti, won the champion, and you're riding in a Schmidt-Peterson. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but at Paddock, again, he's the year before, he won it. So you got two champions in there. So, I mean, I would think they could do good, but like we've talked about, sometimes you got guys that are really good behind the wheel, and they just tell the crew chief, hey, this is what I need. And that crew chief knows. So you really, maybe they have that guy behind the wall. And that's something I would like to look into, is who is behind there making these moves. Because I don't think it's still, was it Jacques Villeneuve last year, or Gilles de Ferran?
Gilles de Ferran.
I wouldn't think he's still in that role, but I could be 100% wrong on that.
I don't think you can blame it all on Gilles.
No, you can't. But he's been there. He's done that.
But I think that McLaren as a team dropped the ball last year. But moving on from that, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Alonso, were you?
I don't even remember now.
Okay, hey, I've been there before. We'll see here. They run their final test this week. They're heading to Sebring, and I asked Mr. Trowbridge, I was like, why do they go to Sebring? He's like, because it's bumpy as all get at, and the best thing to replicate a street course, because obviously you can't go to St. Pete and say, hey, I'm going to shut down your your roads here, because they're probably already upset about the one race going through there and close, because you know that local person that hates racing comes up to that stoplight and is like, why can't I go this way?
Oh, kind of like the person that knew Deer Creek was right there but bought a house right next door and wants to complain because the music's too loud.
Something, yeah, it's similar to that effect, yes. Absolutely. So
that cracks me up.
That's we've talked about that one before. That's good. So let's see. We got the final test in Sebring, and then we talked to, or I was able to, you were at work, I was having all the fun, but I talked to Sabre Cook.
Yeah.
This week.
That's a good interview.
A really cool lady.
Yeah, she seems like she's very down to earth.
Oh, yeah. The one thing, and she didn't say it to me, but I was doing a little research before and looking up, what exactly she was about and everything. And I saw an interview, and everybody wants to compare her and say, hey, you're the next Danica. You're the next Danica. And she said the coolest thing in the world. She looked at that person and says, I respect being like on that level of Danica Patrick, But instead of me being the next Danica Patrick, I really like to be the first Sabre Cook. I was like, oh, that's incredible.
That is awesome.
And for her at that age to say that, I mean, that shows your maturity right there.
And unfortunately, you know, with a female coming into racing, you're going to get that comparison.
Right.
I don't know why. I mean, and I'm not putting Danica down, but I think there's females out there that are better than what she was.
Oh, 100%.
And it's no different than in basketball. You know, you see a guy coming up, oh, he's the next Michael Jordan. I get so sick of hearing that.
Right.
There's never going to be another Michael Jordan. There's one Michael Jordan.
Yep.
You know, so I get tired of hearing people put these comparisons on people. Let her go out there and race. Let her prove who she is.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, like we've talked about Haley. I know people are going to put that on her too. Hey, she's next Danica Patrick. No, she's Haley Deegan.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. If she wanted to be the next Danica Patrick, I mean, she'd be driving different and she'd be making different moves. I mean, and that's another thing that Sabre has said. Like, if you go into racing because I asked her, I said, you know, what's the advice you would give to a woman or a little girl like my daughter or Jasmine, my niece, that wants to get involved with racing, but maybe is a little intimidated with it being, I mean, nothing against him, but a man's world. And she said, if you go into the racetrack and you think that your gender is a disadvantage, it is a disadvantage. And I mean, just like I said, I mean, the quote with the Danica Patrick deal, with that quote right there, she's got the mindset. And I asked her, you know, what car she liked better, where if F1 contract and an IndyCar contract were on the table at the same time, what she would take. And she pretty much came out and said, I can't picture an F1 contract on the table. I don't think that's ever going to happen. So, I mean, she knows that her goal is IndyCar, and she has an opportunity to make it into IndyCar. The last time she was in the Pro 2000, she said a lot of her budget was unfortunately spent in getting to the race. So now she's a little more prepared. She's running in the W Series, which is the woman series in F1. So it's like an F3 car that's a little step down there.
Or is that's the electric cars, right?
No, that's Formula E. The W is
they got Formula E for women too.
Oh no, yeah, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, so this is a Formula 3 car, and it's just like a little tune. She explains it in that interview, just kind of the difference between the F3 and that car there. But I mean, she says
detuned just a little bit,
right? Exactly, just taken down a hair. But so she was actually a mechanical engineer by trade or by schooling.
Wow!
So she has a degree in mechanical engineering and worked for Renault last year on the F1 team. So I mean, she's been involved with F1. She's been there. She worked there. She did that while she was doing racing in the W.
She's kind of like the female version of Ryan Newman.
Yeah, exactly. Just and that's what's and she said sometimes that's a disadvantage to her because she's out on the track and she hears something and she's like, oh, okay, this is doing this, and at that point you just need to focus on driving.
Yeah.
So sometimes she said it gets into her head a little too much because I was like, well, that's got to be a benefit because you know what's going on. She said, yeah, it can be. It's like Spider-Man. Some people's how's he put it?
Spidey sense.
Some people's powers are another people's curse, you know? So kind of interesting. So if you didn't get to check that out yet, hop on over to where?
www.bwsports1.com.
That is right, because that was a YouTube exclusive there. So we'll have some of those coming out there, YouTube exclusives. We'll post them on Facebook.
Yeah.
But we're really trying to build that YouTube presence in the year of 2020. So hop on over there to the YouTube page as well. You can go over there from BWSPORTS1.com. And boom, I just nailed it.
Oh, I've been nailing mine the whole time today.
And you can check out all that there. So we got some iRacing news.
Oh, yeah. And, as we're getting into the iRacing news, sometimes you just need that extra little bit in your rig to really immerse and make the experience a little bit better.
Feel what you've been missing, maybe?
Yeah. What do you always try to, do you do anything different to your rig to get that feeling?
I crank up that butt kicker to 11, baby. and it jolts me out of the seat. It's kicking my butt. That's right. And what a fantastic piece of equipment.
It is.
There's really, in all honesty, like a motion rig would be cool. There's some apps that are really cool. There's some apps that are really cool for the value of the Gamer 2. What it adds to your rig, phenomenal.
It is. It really is.
I sat down the first time I did that. I was like, oh my gosh. I feel like I just felt every curb. It's like I felt everything on the track. I felt the little pebbles coming up and hitting the fenders. The inside.
You do. I mean, you feel every little detail.
It's absolutely incredible. So check that out. The winner of the Checkers and Wreckers Pro Late Model Series is going to go away with one of those. So
yeah, Zach McSwain got one last year.
He did. Yes, absolutely. So big thanks to Butt Kicker there for sticking with us and having some fun.
And speaking of Butt Kicker, I ordered on eBay. I ordered a mount for my rig.
Did you get that finally?
No.
Still haven't got that. And
it's been over a month.
We did this last week too. It's not from Butt Kicker.
No, it's
that's not them.
It's not from Butt Kicker.
We did the same thing last week.
It's made by Track Racer.
So yeah, absolutely. Butt Kicker's fantastic. I think we got those things within like a day.
I mean, like super fast. It was either a day or maybe two.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it was a weekend. So
I'm at work and TommyBoy's sending me a picture. I'm like, oh,
right.
I couldn't get off work fast enough that day to come pick mine up.
I can't remember who it was, but we were talking about it at one point, and somebody, I got 4 of them.
Oh yeah, because he had the motion rig.
Exactly.
And he's got one on each corner
of it. Jolted.
That would be insane.
You feel like you're in a 410 sprint car at that point. I mean,
man, that would be insane. And that's what he said he was running. Was
yeah, exactly. You feel like
I'm man, they has to be doing like this, and then you're
shaking. You're feeling every bit of it. So definitely check that out.
And you brought up his name just a minute ago, Mr. Timothy Trowbridge.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the wheel he made?
Oh, that was phenomenal.
That IndyCar wheel?
Oh, that was sweeter than anything.
Yeah, I want one.
Right. No, that's the actual IndyCar. That's not for iRacing.
Oh, I think he's making one for. I thought he made one for sim racing.
No. That was TK's wheel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he was making it for iRacing.
No, if you look in that thing, there's like 3,000 pounds of wire
yes.
that he has to go through. Like it just looks like a logistical nightmare. Much better him doing that than me. I'll tell you that. But yeah, that was a really cool picture there to see, just kind of getting the backside of things like that in the garage. It's really neat to see those things. It does. I mean, it looks dead up like when you drive the DW12, the Cogsworth wheel. I mean, it looks almost dead up like what they did in iRacing, and they did a great job. Obviously, laser scanning that one. Are you looking for it still?
Yeah.
So I'll go on with this one. The Wood Brothers. Did you see this by chance? They come out and they make a statement. It says crashes aren't real in iRacing, but I'll tell you what, the money sure is. So they're interested in it. People were giving him heck for saying that. He's like, please explain to me why exactly. That's a IndyCar one. He said, please explain to me why you think this is a bad idea for us to run iRacing. Because somebody even last night on the Pricks of Pavement is like, fake racers, fake racing, blah blah blah. It's like, I get what you're saying, dude, but at the same time, I mean, this right here, it's perfect. Is it John Wood?
Is that one of the sons?
I think so. He came out and he was like, I'm the one that said that. And he's like, you guys are crazy to think it's stupid for us to not go wreck $1 million cars. And instead, like we said, hit the reset button. Because if those guys win in these cup races, because a lot of these teams have iRacing teams.
Yeah.
This cup race pays, was it $300,000? Or no, like a total payout, I think, is $300,000.
I think the winner gets like
$100,000.
Is it $100,000?
I think it's $100,000 to win the NASCAR Cup Series.
Doesn't he win the money and get a chance to do a test session in like a truck or something? They
usually do give, like, I know Novak last year got a test session in his super late model.
Yeah,
so,
that was it.
But he's over there just like, really? You're gonna up it to $100,000 this year? I'm like, right on, because I think he got like 15, which is not bad.
I was gonna say like 10 or something like
but
that.
But you can tell with that right there tells you NASCAR is losing title sponsors, and they're going to a multiple sponsor deal. iRacing signs Coca-Cola to a title sponsor. Where's the popularity right now? I mean, I hate saying that, but I mean, it's a new age. So for people to come out and say fake racers, fake racing is, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Esports is big, man. Not just in iRacing. I mean, you look at
all over.
You can get a college scholarship now for esports.
Right. And so, okay, yes, exactly. He said he paid the drivers in this iRacing deal more than he paid the truck drivers. They're getting more notoriety.
Wow.
That's what exactly. And Dustin Hall has been a huge help there on top of doing that logo for us.
Oh, yeah.
He comes in and he's always helping me out with some dirt stuff. I love it, man. He's chatting dirt with me, keeping me up to date, because he sent that to me. And he's like, man, this is interesting. Absolutely it is. I mean, you're starting to see this trend of, I'm going to say iRacing, but I think R Factor's just starting to pick up and really try to compete here. And there's some independent ones that are out there doing some things, but the trend on iRacing, I want to say it's up, like subscriptions and things are up 400% over the past 5 years.
And you know, one thing I always think's cool when you log on to iRacing, if you look down at the bottom of the screen on the left-hand side,
tells you how many people.
Tells you laps ran for that day.
No, that's not that day. That's overall.
Oh, is it overall?
It's in like the billions.
Yeah,
now.
it's like 3 billion something.
They're competing with McDonald's burgers made.
Yeah.
So,
Daniel, on that one, I believe Notre Dame's not one of those colleges that are giving scholarships for esports yet.
I can't see Notre Dame going to something like that.
I don't think they will either.
Not for a while, at least. But it really, I mean, we say esports, but iRacing is part of that. Gran Turismo, that's a big one. I'm seeing F1, like 2019. Guys are running that, and they're running leagues in those. Project Cars. Forza. I mean, all these on top of this. But I almost want to get Project Cars now on PC. I know that sounds crazy.
I kind of want to get a set of Corsa on PC.
John Altec, he was running Formula, and I don't know if you can mod them yourself or how exactly that works, but he was running a modded F1 car, and look at the laps as of now. I don't even know. 2,369,526,932 laps logged as of now. And I think iRacing is 10 years old?
Something like that.
I mean, close to 10 years old. So, I mean, just phenomenal. And Saber, I asked her about iRacing. She said she's not the biggest fan because she doesn't see. So what she's looking for is like the force in the brake pedal. It doesn't help her. She says it hinders her. And I can see where coming in that style, like that brake pedal feels nothing like that, and that would throw you off being in a car, learning that car.
Oh, come use my brake pedal.
Fair enough. But she would rather be on the track, but it's giving people these opportunities that maybe have a smaller team with a smaller budget
to turn laps. I mean,
exactly.
To me, and especially, you know, for somebody that hasn't raced some of these tracks,
that's what she says she uses it the most for, just to get an idea of the track.
Right. You know, because iRacing is taking 3D images of all these tracks. They scan the track.
Right.
So when it comes on iRacing, it is an exact copy of that track as far as, you know, the straightaway length, the turn radius,
the banking,
everything.
Yeah.
Because they scan the track and then upload it into iRacing.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a very good tool. You know, whether you want to call it a simulator, a game, or whatever, I myself like to call it a tool, because if you are a racer and you know, the off season, or like we just said, you know, if you've never been to this track, need to learn it. You
can't afford to get to that track.
Right. That is a perfect tool to help you prepare.
Mm-hmm. No, I do see it. I mean, it is a game too. It is the funnest game there is, absolutely, in my opinion. but I can see where people use it, like you said, as a tool. Because when I think of simulator, I think of what Ganassi has in his shop.
Right.
That's a $100,000 simulator
That too.
that they run out. And I mean, this thing, it feels dead up like the car. It's gonna, if you do something wrong, you're gonna feel exactly like that car. I mean, it's manufactured to feel 100%. So there's no cross there. There's no difference. With this, I see the game aspect. You have the game aspect in official racing when you got other people that are out there and making moves that would kill you on the real track if you were going to do. So, I mean, I see both sides of the story there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this is just getting more popular. In the past 5 years, like I said, 400% increase in subscriptions and people actually racing there. So, and like Dan, exactly. There's a lot of people, and unfortunately, there's some people on iRacing that probably deserve a cup spot, will never get one, but they're going to have their fun and be able to race with the top competitors because of iRacing.
And there's some people on iRacing that do race real cars that run on iRacing that probably shouldn't race either one.
I mean, you're right, exactly. So,
and then Tim just said iRacing has been around 11 years.
Yeah, I saw he's been on
he just
10.
crossed 10 years in January.
Well, happy 10-year anniversary, Tim.
Hey, Tim's been on since almost the beginning.
Exactly, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That is crazy to think there.
I know it's our new addiction.
Oh, 100% there, absolutely. And I can
haven't
only
really turned
imagine
any laps this week.
10 years ago what it was like there. I can only imagine because they said it. I mean, it took 4 or 5 years for the asphalt side to really get honed in, and they're still making improvements.
And they didn't have dirt at first.
Exactly. The K&N, I think dirt's like 2 or 3 years old.
Right.
K&N is getting a new damage package. The modifieds, there's other tire packages coming out in this next upgrade. So they're constantly upgrading these things, and now they're saying the dirt is where it was with asphalt the second year in. They're getting there, but it's just what we hear the complaints of. It's one lane racing.
Well, I think dirt, they need to put a true cushion in. You need to have a true cushion up there to where you're not really, up against the wall. You're riding the cushion.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree with you. A lot of these dirt tracks, it's just follow the leader. The slick moves up, guys move up to stay out of the slick. They're running around the top, and it's just follow the leader around the top. Right. And that's all you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you do. And here we go again. And we're just riding the top.
And I'm not complaining against the racers because you got to do what you got to do. You don't want to drop it down to the low side and end up in the back.
Right.
Because, I mean, what's the point of racing if you're going to do that? But, I mean, that's where iRacing needs to maybe, I'm not going to say switch their focus, but you're growing at this point. So bring on a team that is there, and they may have this already, but do just a complete just upgrade on dirt and do it right. Do it to the point where not like this caution deal. That was a absolute just mayhem.
Yeah, that was stupid.
It was, why it's like these phones that come out with a bug fix. It's like, here's a fix for a bug. Well, you just updated this 2 days ago. Could you have not waited 2 days and tested this thing for 2 days? And it's kind of the same deal with that. So just kind of a unique take on the iRacing bit this week with the Wood Brothers coming out and putting it like that. But I like that. I think that's a good story. He's coming out and he's showing. He's like, hey, guys, the sponsorship's here. It is. I mean, if you do it right, if you put it up there and you show these companies what you're doing for them, they're not watching these broadcasts to see you. They want you to show them what you're doing. Make your paints. Make it right. Do it up the correct way. And the other thing is we get so many messages, and I apologize if you're one of the ones. Do not text people and say, sponsor me.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. I mean, you got to have a plan. You got to have that. But that's it's getting to that point here with iRacing where you're seeing a lot more business end up things. You can get sponsorships for being a good driver.
I get at least one of those messages every week. At least one.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying anything bad against it.
No.
You've got to I don't know. See, Brad and I, that's where I think you got enough guys at iRacing that you could test it there in-house and be like, guys, this is just a nightmare.
My thing
You
is,
could have ran one race there and figured that out.
my thing is for like the dirt side and even the asphalt side. I think you need to have a group of, like, say for dirt, you go out and get a group of 10 dirt racers that have had logged several laps on the dirt tracks in different forms of cars.
Mm-hmm.
And you get them to sit down as a committee and get on here and run and say, all right, here's what we need to change. I mean, it's never going to be exactly the same as real racing.
No.
But there's some things that could improve
100%.
on dirt, on the asphalt ovals, on the asphalt road courses. And you get a group of racers for each series. You know, asphalt road course, asphalt oval.
There's a reason they section them off.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can get feedback. You know, you have these guys in here, you know, logging laps every day, giving you feedback. Here's what you need to change. We need to change this. You know, we need to, because it seems to me, especially in the dirt side, the track slicks off awful quick.
It can't, yeah.
You know, so, and you know as well as I do, and a lot of guys, you would much rather run in the tack than you would the slick. Because, you know, you get in the slick, and that car's a handful to drive. You're wheeling on it and working the throttle. And
I think the 305 is like the only thing I'm trying to hit a little of the slick with. It's all right,
I am
turn,
too.
baby,
I am
turn.
yeah, I'm more confident
like
in the
Krusty
slick
the
and the
Clown.
305s than anything else.
Right, absolutely. But that or the street stocks. It's the kind of slower car that isn't going to take off from you in that slick. But like Dustin said, it is very seldom that you find a 2-lane track there. But I think iRacing will get to that. I mean, you got Kyle Larson, you got Christopher Bell. These guys are behind you. I mean, you sponsor those guys, and I'm sure you're sponsoring them in part to get their feedback as far as something like that goes. Get a screwdriver app on dirt. Let's start dipping that screwdriver in before we go racing here. I like the idea there.
Yeah. But and I understand that, you know, seldom do you see a 2-lane, and that's true. But, you know, the downside of that, of only having the 1 lane and you get the follow the leader going on, that's where guys are going to get impatient and they're, you know, going to start making moves, and that's where you get guys putting the wall. You know, you get a guy dooring a guy to get by him. That's going to be the nature of the beast, because a guy's not going to sit there if he knows he's faster than you. He's not going to sit there and follow you every lap. Sooner or later, he's going to try to make a move to get by you.
Yep.
And when it's only 1 lane, you know, we've all seen it. We've seen the guys throw the major slider and just come up and park it in front of somebody. But that's what's going to happen. Right. You're not
right.
going to avoid that.
You're 100% right there. So I mean, that's
even AJ agrees.
Right. That's, and I'm not saying iRacing's not taking care of that, because I do think they are. They're working through that.
I agree.
But there's at the same time, people on iRacing need to respect that, and instead of begging them to put out another track, put out another dirt track, fix the dirt tracks you got.
Right. Let's refine what we have already.
Because you get a
before
2-lane,
you advance.
You get a 2-lane Fairbury, you get a 2-lane Lanier, a 2-lane Lernerville, Eldora, and you just made a whole nother race there. I mean, it is a new track to these guys. You're setting up the car different to run on the low side. So I don't think you need to change tire packages yet there. I think you need to work on the track. That's where.
And I also think in the fixed setup stuff, I think, you know, even though it's a fixed setup, give 2 different setups that are fixed, but give them 2 setups you can pick from. You know, a setup that's going to work better if you're running down low in the slick, and a setup that's going to work better if you're running up high.
Right.
You know, give some guys some options. And then maybe you will see some more guys going down and trying to run low or run in the slick. I mean, if you give me an option and there's a setup to run the slick, I'll run it. I'll try it. Right. I mean, I know myself, I need to get better at running in the slick. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of these fixed setups you get aren't very good to run in the slick, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I'm with you there. And so, and he said, Dustin was saying that in real life at a dirt track, a lot of those are one lane dominant. But
I agree, Dustin. See, that's right there what I was talking about.
See better. When you say change the gear, I got
the final gear.
I'm thinking like what gear?
No, like the rear end gear,
the helmet, the Hans, or no? Exactly, no, duh. So no,
and that's right, because I mean
that is a big.
I think if you take a little gear away, you'd be able to run the slick better.
Or some tracks you might have to put a little in it. I mean, it really depending on the track. Like Eldora, it's going to be different than Fairbury, and for these guys that have to go out there and make a small guess on it, you can make a whole different track.
What I'm saying though is like if you're running the slick and you drop the gear down where it's not going to spin the tires running through the slick.
Okay, I got you.
So it's going to allow you to run through the slick a little bit better,
right,
and not worry about spinning the tires.
Right, absolutely. And I get to a certain extent because I'm a fixed driver.
I am too.
I mean, right now I don't want to mess with sets.
I'm learning how to drive on the dirt track, so don't throw me into where I got to set the car up to.
Exactly. So, and that's the way I look at that. So, I kind of go for that, but at the same time,
yeah. See,
what's that?
He said real shock and spring companies give baseline, slick, and heavy setup suggestions for their products.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
Right. Absolutely. So
that's what I'm saying. If iRacing and the fixed stuff would give you, two options, I think that I think that'd make the racing a little bit better.
And I can see, because right now I think a lot is your steering ratio and your steering offset. That's what you can change in a lot of the fixed
That's
setups.
about it. And then and then the sprint cars, you can change your wing.
Right, exactly, throughout the race and stuff like that.
Where in the sprint car, when it starts slicking off, you'll see, I know I do it.
Guys will sit there and move it in there as they're going around
that wing, so you get more downforce.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there again, if you could change the gearing, it would help, in the slick. So you're going to get more downforce with the wing, a lower gear. You'll be able to drive it through the slick and come off a little bit better, because I think a lot of times in the slick where it gets me is coming off the turn when you're trying to put the throttle back to it. You get the wheel spin, and then that's when the car wants to hook around.
Right.
To where if you had that lower gear to where you can start applying the throttle again, it's not going to spin the tires, and you can drive off the turn out of the slick.
Right. No, that makes sense, and I'm with you there. And somebody said that's why I stick out of fixed and I build my own sets. And I'm with you there, but I mean, you also at that point, you've got another hour or two in the game, before you hit the track if you're putting together some solid sets and stuff like that. So,
and while we're on the topic of iRacing and how all these teams are getting involved and stuff like that, my only question is, could iRacing hurt karting? Because for
100%.
the longest time, karting's been the stepping stone to get into the next form of racing, and that's what I did. I'm a karter. I love karting, but with the cost of karting now, okay. But if you really look at it, and I'm really starting to learn this because I'm dumping money in my rig right and left, but if you go out and say, and you don't have to have this, say you go out and you get a direct drive wheel set up, you're talking minimum $1,000, and that's not including the steering wheel. That's just getting the direct drive unit itself. So you're going to spend another about $300 on a wheel. So you're at $1,300 right there. That's just for your wheel. That's not including any pedals.
Then you got a $1,200 computer.
So then you got another, $200 to $500, and we'll just keep it at that. There's pedals that go more than that, but we'll just say $200 to $500 in your pedals.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a wheel set up and you have pedals. Okay, you still don't have a computer. You still don't have a rig, and you still don't have a monitor or VR.
Which you can go out without a rig.
You can.
You
Not with the direct drive unit. You can't. Direct
you're gonna
drive,
have
you're going to have to have a
unless
rigid
you got
rig.
a bench, a workbench you're mounted to cinder block.
But okay, so let's just go bare minimum here. You have, say, a table like this.
Mm-hmm.
Get you a G29, which is probably the best introductory wheel you can get.
Right.
A lot of guys run the Logitech G29s, and they're a great wheel. And you can find those used on eBay or Facebook for about $150, and that's with pedals.
Yep. Without a shifter, you're just using
Without
a paddle.
Right. I don't use a shifter. I use my paddles.
I was going to say, yeah, it's pretty rare.
So you're $150 right there for a wheel and pedals. You can, like I said, you could take like a desk or table like this and your couch, bolt it up. There you go. So then you still got to have a computer. Bare minimum on computer is probably going to be $900 to $1,000, I would guess. Okay, so now you're at.
You can probably get into the game for $600, but you're possibly going to have some lag. I mean, like Brooks. I mean, he just upgraded his PC, and
that's why I said $900 to $1,000.
Okay,
you're going to have
enough.
a solid
Fair
machine.
I'm with you.
So we're looking at you're at about $1,150, $1,200 right now. And then you still need, a monitor or VR. TommyBoy likes his triples. I like my VR. But, let's say you're just going with a single monitor. You can get you a 32-inch for a couple hundred.
Right.
So you're at about $1,400 right now.
I mean, you could get in with a TV, too. I mean, if you're not playing a shooter game, anything like that, and people are probably going to hate me for this comment, but I run on triples, and it's all 3 TVs. I've seen a 144 refresh rate monitor, and I can tell a difference, but I don't know if necessarily on iRacing if I'm losing anything from a monitor. So I think you can get in on it.
Because before I got my VR, I was running on my 55-inch flat screen TV.
Right.
And I thought it was fine. So we're at like $1,400 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then you still got your iRacing subscription, tracks, cars. So you're going to have about, if you buy all the dirt tracks, there's probably going to be about like $100.
I don't even know if it gets that high because there's not that much dirt content right now. But then the cars, I think you're going
to need some cars
you
too.
Get the street stock when it comes to dirt, and that might be
the
legend.
You get the legend.
Yep.
You still need sprint car, late model. If you want to run UMPs, which don't waste your money because I can't stand those freaking things.
What I do like about the late model in dirt compared to the late model on asphalt is when you buy the late model on dirt, you get all 3.
Right.
When you buy the late model on asphalt, you got to buy the late model.
Right.
When you got to buy the pro late model, then you got to buy the super late model. It's like, oh, come on, guys. But I mean, I get it. The popularity there.
So you're
supply demand.
You're talking about you can get into iRacing for about $1,500
without computer. You're saying?
Oh that's with that. No, that was with the computer because I remember I said $900 to $1,000 for the computer.
You were saying with the used, yeah, exactly.
So we're about $1,500,
and that's a solid setup. You can go cheaper than that. You can.
You can go way better than that.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you want to get in and just get your feet wet, get up and running, $1,500.
Because it scares me sometimes. I see the post of this. Will this run on iRacing?
Right.
It's like, no, dude, it's a 90. It's running on Windows 95. Like, no, just pass.
And you might be able to get it a little bit cheaper, and get in. I mean, if you can find some deals, okay, you might be able to get in for $1,000.
Right.
But even still, so and let's take that versus karting. Karting. To get a good chassis, motor, everything like that, you're talking, you got about $4,000 to $5,000 in it, and that's for all new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to get in and just to get into karting and be somewhat competitive and use stuff, you're probably going to talk. I'm going to say for a decent used chassis, probably $1,000.
Right.
Then,
but look how much the karting world changes each and every year, and that's that small development in karting can be a good speed on the track.
It just depends because I know 5 years ago, Dad bought a PCR. It was a shifter cart.
Mm-hmm.
So we stripped it down, took it out, had the frame put in the jig, made sure it was straight, and we did some tweaks to the chassis that we know what to do to.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out there, and that thing was competitive. I mean, we won races with it, put it on the pole. I mean, the cart was hooked up, and it was a bad dude. Now, and that was a 4-stroke cart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting into 2 cycles, that's when you're going to, a 5, 6, 7-year-old chassis and a 2 cycle's not going to be as competitive.
Right.
With more power, you're going to flex the chassis out, and it's going to start to wear out in time. Where with a Briggs, or not a Briggs anymore, but a 4-cycle cart, you want it to flex. So if it flexes, it's not a bad thing in a 4-cycle cart.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to what I'm saying is you're going to spend probably $2,000 to $2,500.
That's before you buy a set of tires, though.
Well, that's
It
rolling,
right.
ready to go. But and that's still, you need helmet, gloves. You can wear just a jacket. You don't have to wear a full fire suit.
I wore a jean jacket and jeans. I wore Mom's Riviera jacket. I look like a stud out there.
Now some places won't allow that. I mean, some places are going to make you at least wear a Nomex jacket.
Sure, right.
And because I know there for a while, that's all I wore was a jacket and jeans. Because I got tired of putting the suit on. And, a hot day, that suit, you just sweat so bad.
Absolutely.
Now, when I ran enduros, I wore the full fire suit and everything like that. But I'm just talking, money differences. So, right there, you're talking about $3,000 to go karting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's buying used stuff.
Right. And then you're not, that's not the track fee. That's not your
Right.
gas.
That's
not
not
your
getting
tires.
to the track.
Exactly.
And if you don't have a truck, you're going to have a trailer of some kind to pull it there.
Yeah, we put it in the back of his, what was it? GMC Sonoma. This thing's hanging out the back, dude. I mean, we look like just the Beverly Hillbillies pulling up to the
that's
track.
how a lot of people went racing back in the day.
Absolutely. You don't see that nowadays, unfortunately.
No, you don't.
Now you see this
now
$40,000
you think they gotta have
trailer.
a 42-foot trailer and a motorhome. Where I remember some of my best racing memories was, Dad had a old Ford van. It didn't look like much on the outside, but we had racks built on the inside. The cart would slide right up in there.
Exactly right.
We had spare parts in the racks, and that was a cool setup for me,
Right. Well, we had it down to we'd put the stuff up, anything that we needed under, it could go under. Then the stand would hold the cart up just enough. And Dad never dumped the cart off of the thing because we never strapped it down, which blows my mind now thinking about it. So I got to give Dad a round of applause there for never dumping the cart out of the back of the truck.
And and how we started off the show,
Rainouts. That's a great one. I never thought of that, Brett. That's a great part of that. Think about, you go to a rain out, man, you didn't even race.
Yep.
You
traveled all that way and went rain out.
Or you got to pay now for another night because you're staying another night.
Or if it rains out all weekend,
you're coming back.
I remember we went to Charlotte to Lowe's Motor Speedway. We paid because you could show up on Friday and practice all Friday, then you race Saturday and you race Sunday.
Right.
We show up on Friday, it rains all day.
Right.
We never got a bit of practice in.
Your dad took a day off of work?
No, Dad didn't go enduro racing with me.
I got you. But I mean, still, people are taking days off work at that point.
I took a day off work.
So you got a day off work. The travel expense. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And as far as food, I can eat ramen, so that I won't tuck too much in there. It adds up. It does. It does.
The food part, I'm happy as long as they got a decent hot dog at the concession stand.
But hey, that could be more expensive than anything else in some of these places.
It could be, but I know a lot of tracks you can get a hot dog for a couple bucks.
Right.
And like I said, I was down with it.
He said rainouts equal a high bar tab on top of that. That's good stuff. I like Brett. He's a partier.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good stuff right there. Oh, goodness.
Asphalt or dirt kart racing? I did asphalt myself.
You didn't race in the rain, Brad says?
Nah, I did. I ran, we was at Mid-Ohio in the Enduros. And we go out, and it started sprinkling, and it was practice. And they're like, all right. So I was like, you know what? I'm not putting my rain tires on. I think this is going to blow over. Went out there, and I mean, fast as hell. Fast as hell.
You look like Marco, though?
I got a shot. I was like, I got a shot. I got a legit shot. Running second. You know, the guy in first done checked out, but, you know, his dad owned a kart shop and built motors, so he should check out. But running second. Running good. Mid-Ohio, come out, what was it, turn 9, I think it was.
I could see you counting.
And all of a
turns
sudden,
in your head.
I was like, what the hell's that? I look back, my pipe's just laying in the floor pan.
Oh,
My
no.
pipe cradle, the bolt sheared off of my pipe cradle. Whole pipe fell off. I had to pull in.
Oh, man. You got to love that. Fantastic. I was going to say the same thing, Dan. That's Canadian racing up there. So Brad's used to racing in like 13 inches of snow, or should I say 30 centimeters of snow. So
I've watched the carts run on like the ice where they
I
put the
saw one,
studs
yeah,
in the tire. I would love to try that.
I don't
would
know if that'd be
love
my
to
thing.
try that.
I don't know about that. Would be. They're screaming, man. Absolutely. So, anything else that you can think of?
No, I think that's about it, man. I mean, we've covered a lot today.
Well, it is that time.
It
We
is
have
time. Oh,
made
almost
it
forgot.
to the checkers and wreckers.
Pick.
I could have kept it going too. I felt good on that one.
That was a good one.
I'm
that
not
was a
out of
good one.
breath. I don't know what it is. I must have been running after Graham quite a bit this week. He's got me in shape here. So we're going down, and I'm looking at that like it means anything. So I'll start it off with my checker. Leo's going to agree with me here. I'm going with Jimmy Johnson starting in that second spot. I think he takes it today. J takes it today.
Not a record checker.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe we put him as a wrecker now that I said he's going to be a checker. I'm giving Jimmy Johnson some bad juju here.
So my checker. Let's see here. I'm going to go out on a rope. I'm going with Kevin Harvick.
All right. And that's a solid pick there as well. And we'll go at the wreckers. And right now, get on DraftKings, hop on, what's the other ones? FanDuel, whatever you bet on, because I'm about to throw the wrecker out. And that usually means that this guy is going to pull it into victory lane. And he was my dark horse last week, starting fourth this week. Kurt Busch, I don't think has the race he wants to have today.
Fair enough. My wrecker, since I picked him as a dark horse in Daytona and he stunk it up. Then last week he finished the second. Matt D, you're wrecking today.
We'll see about that. It seems like he's got there anytime you put it out there. Matt D, if you got him for a checker, he wrecks. If you got him for a wrecker, he checks. So Michael Milliard saying Logano's gonna start the wreck. So he's calling Logano for his wrecker. Who you got for a checker? Let's hear it, Michael. You gave us your wrecker. Let's hear your checker now. My dark horse for the day, he is having a solid season so far. We talked about him today. Kind of a rookie that nobody really talked about until the season started. I'm going to go with Nemechek.
All right. Is he? Yep. Starting 23rd.
Dark horse for Daniel is Di Benedetto, and he says it however that's spelled. I don't think he got too far, but there's an I in there for sure.
Yeah.
Michael is a pretty darn good sprint car racer. I will give him that. He does some streaming. He's a butt kicker family guy.
Oh yeah, I've watched
And,
some of his stuff.
He can whip it around.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to give him stars. I want to see if he can, because if you give him so many stars, he'll go to the back. It's like
I seen that.
one of these days, I'm just gonna go in there and just piss him off, like to
Yeah,
the back,
'cause
the back. It's not gonna piss him off.
I think
obviously,
it's
but-
100 stars. He'll run the top for a lap.
yeah, exactly right. And then you for the 1,000, you can crew chief and make him pick the you pick the lanes. And so I thought that was a cool little deal he's got there. So he's gonna go with the dirt guy, and he's gonna pick Larson.
All
For
right.
the win today. Do you have a dark horse? I'm gonna assume you're gonna go with Bell on your dark horse then, just to keep that trend rolling there. So we'll
Okay, so
appreciate you
dark-
hopping in there on there, Michael. Appreciate that.
Dark horse, you got John Hunter Nemechek, huh?
I do. I think, like I said, he had a good showing in Daytona. I think he finished top 10 last week. So
My dark horse, Colonel Custer with the candlestick.
There you go.
In the laboratory.
I got money on him today. So I do. I think he's gonna finish. I put him in the top 5 in the Vegas bets there on. I don't even know what I bet on, but DraftKings. So hop on over there. Like I said, I just picked out the record of the week. So you should
we're
go
gonna put
bet
the
on
picks
him as the
in the
checker.
lockbox until next week.
Exactly. I like that little holding there. So we'll keep it up. We'll keep it good and safe until then. And I want you to stay good and safe until that time as well.
Hey, and while Michael's on here, I've watched you run some sprint car stuff and stuff like that. You know what today is, Tommy Boy?
Slide
Job
Sunday. I thought you were going to get in there.
That's
with me.
right. Slide Job Sunday. So, Michael, come run some sprint cars with us tonight in Monsters of Dirt.
I don't know if I want that because he's just going to be the guy lapping me then.
Hey, it's all good.
You're right. He's a butt kicker
The
family man.
only way to get better is to run with the fast guys.
Hey, Michael, just real quick, can you let me know and let everybody else know in that comment section if you're still with us? Where do you who do you go to feel what you've been missing there?
Yep.
Give it a little hashtag drop there. Gotta love the family there. Oh, battery's exhausted. That means we are done for the day. Thank you all for joining in with us. That was a good little timing there. Thank you
perfect.
for having a good one, and let's have some fun
He
here.
said send him the info.
You got it.
It's Monsters of Dirt. iRacing was at www.
iRacingMonstersOfDirt.com.
Yep.
Thank you all for having us and joining us here today. There it is. Hashtag
Butt
kicker. Gotta love it. So that's what we got today. The battery's exhausted. We're exhausted. So thank you all for joining us in. Remember to drive fast, shift hard, not in the sprints though, and keep the rubber on the road.
Yep.
Or keep slinging that dirt. However you want to do it there, just do it with a butt kicker game or two.
Yep.
Yep.
Peace.